What's up, homies? We got some shit to do, okay? We got 4 videos to react to, 3 MatPat videos, and 1 FNAF video, but that's the lowest priority right now, because today is MatPat's last day, which is very sad. He's already released his last theory. We're going to be reacting to it today, and because I haven't reacted to his last 2 FNAF theories, the movie trilogy one and the Thanks for the Memories one, I decided I'd just do these together, and then I plan on making this stream into 2 different videos, one for the game theories and one for the FNAF theory. I'm doing the FNAF one at the end so that we can do all the game theory stuff first, because that's the priority for the stream, but that's what we'll be doing today. So, how's it going, everybody? While, let's just chill for a couple minutes, and then we'll get into the first video that we're going to react to. We're going to react to them in order of release, and then the FNAF one at the end. The movie trilogy one is what we'll be doing first. That one's just, it's a normal FNAF game theory, so I'm just going to react to it, explain what I agree with, what I don't agree with, obviously, as always. It's just a FNAF film theory, FNAF reaction, so that will just be like a normal reaction. But after that, we'll just be watching the other 2 videos and seeing what there is. Meow. Thank you, Sandwich Man. Appreciate it. Cats are cool. I was already on the stream that I was on a couple like half an hour ago. It just ended. Psychic and the others were already discussing the video, even though they hadn't watched it and I hadn't watched it, and I wanted my first reactions to be on this stream. Unfortunately, they talked about it a little bit, so I already know one of the big things that's gonna happen in his last theory, which is a bit unfortunate, but I don't know anything outside of that, and I don't know how that's even gonna go down. I just know that it happens. Not gonna spoil it for now, just in case anybody's watching it for the first time with me. I doubt that, but still, just in case. Except Freb, but Freb was also on that stream, so he probably knows the spoiler too. So yeah, let's chill for a little bit while we're here. How dare they spoil it, for real. Yeah, I was just playing Resident Evil 4 in the background. I was listening to them talk about it, and I was just like, I was so close to unloading on them. That sounds weird out of context. I just got the alert, even though that happened like 2 minutes ago. But I was very close to just yelling at them and being like, shut the hell up. This is not. I didn't want to hear this. But no, they just talked about it, so great. Anyway. So yeah, the 4 videos we'll be reacting to. Film theory, FNAF, I know how the movie trilogy ends. I said 4, right? Because there's 4. Then after that, FNAF, game theory, FNAF, thanks for the memories. And of course, MatPat's final theory. I'm very nervous to see how this is all going to go down. I'm going to put each of these theories into the main window on my screen. And then we're going to react to it. We got some time to prepare ourselves for MatPat's final video. I have a feeling it might be emotional. The film theory is going to be MatPat's favorite. It's about robots, isn't it? I actually don't know what it's about, so I assume that's what it is, considering what you just said. But yeah, I haven't watched any of these 4 videos yet. Like I said, the clue that solves FNAF security breach, that's a FNAF video that came out 3-4 days ago now. Like I said, that's going to be at the end of the stream. So, because we want to get all the MatPat stuff out of the way first, because that's the priority. Because today's his final day, so. The big shall remain hidden to Evan. If you're talking about what I think you're talking about, then I know what you're talking about. Because I was spoiled for it. Unless you're talking about something else. But, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know if, like, outside of just the general concept of it, I have no idea if the final theory will be emotional. If I cry, I cry. I cry a lot during movies. I am a little bit of a wimp. So, if it is emotional and I cry, I'll be shutting off the stream because nobody's allowed to see me cry. Even though I'm still a minor. Oh yeah, I also got a haircut today. And when I say I got a haircut, I mean my mom cut my hair. So people can't laugh at his theories anymore. Rip. That's a little sad. I sometimes make fun of his theories or disagree with his theories, but he himself loved the dude. Nothing's gonna change that unless he comes out and is like, I think that I can't think of anything. If he says something that I think actually makes him bad, then sure, I'd change my opinions then. But that would never happen, though. Just because of his theories don't define him. He is awesome. Love MatPat. It's gonna be sad to not see him anymore. I'll still be reacting to the game theories and film theories about FNAF. But it won't be the same anymore without MatPat. That's for sure. Anyway, it's time to prepare ourselves for MatPat's final theory, because like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being emotional. So we're gonna get into to film theory FNAF. I know how the movie trilogy ends. That's what we're gonna be watching first, and so let's do that. Yay! We gotta prepare ourselves. Film theory. 4 film theories remain. Now
Hello,
none.
Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, the show that deserves its own semi-canon novelization. Friends, it feels like some sort of cruel joke. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie came and went from theaters. It was fun. It did great financially, and we all had ourselves a grand old time. We moved on, and now we wait patiently for the next installment to drop, where Mike seeks help for a sleeping disorder, and Freddy and friends take their fort-building business on the road to turn it into a major real estate venture. Everything was in balance, as it should be. And yet, they couldn't just leave well enough alone, could they? Because just like clockwork for this franchise,
Oh, the movie
they turned
novelization.
the movie
That makes sense
into a
considering what he
book.
just said.
A book! Even though I announced my final episodes, I still...
Also, just let me know if the audio is good. If it's not, if you can, I just want to make sure you guys can hear me over him. Like, he should still be loud, but I want, or not loud, but he should still be audible. But I should be more audible, I guess. So if you can't hear me talking over him when I am talking over him, which is not going to be too much because usually I'll pause. If you can't hear me talking over him when I'm talking over him, then let me know in the comment. Let me know in the chat just to make sure.
Couldn't get out of this thing fast enough, could I? Even though all the book releases were technically done for the franchise after 22 solid books, and that's not even including the graphic novels and all the other spin-off materials, good old Scotty Cawthon found a way to squeeze one more in on me before my foot was out the door. And you know what I did? I read the thing. And gotta say, I'm glad that I did. Because
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't read it yet. How much of it okay, I've read some of it. I have it actually right in front of me. This is not planned, I just had it in front of me. Can you make video on FNAF, please? Yeah, you've commented this on like 5 of my videos within the span of like 2 minutes. I will. Be patient. I'm literally going to be reacting to that in this stream. Okay, I've read 19 pages. You can tell because that's where there's a fold here. I've read 19 pages of the movie novels. So, of the movie novel. So, I need to read it, because I still plan on doing a video on it, even though it came out 3 months ago. I'm going to ban you if you keep spamming. Or Freb will. Okay?
It is a theorist gold mine. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today to
It is a theorist gold mine. I haven't read all of it, but I know of some of the stuff that's in it, and there's definitely lore in it.
Sorry. That the FNAF movie book... Oh, I can't even say it. It physically makes me ill to acknowledge that something like this exists. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand here today to tell you that the book version of the FNAF movie, it tells us everything about where the film spin-off series is headed to next. And perhaps more importantly than anything, it tells us that the big reveal of Chapter 3 is gonna be that Vanessa is a robot. Yeah, I know. You may now commence throwing things angrily at your computer monitor. So while you're busy getting yourself an angry arm workout, what am I talking about exactly? Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but it's not uncommon for films to get themselves what are known as movie novelizations. Basically a book that retells the exact same story as a movie, but because it's a book, there tend to be additional details thrown in to bulk things out. Insight into characters, their thoughts, their motivations, more descriptions of scenes, things like that. As you might imagine, novelizations like these were really popular before home video because people didn't have a way to relive the theater experience at their house. Nowadays, though, it's more of an additional source of found revenue for a movie. You already got yourself a script written after all, so you might as well throw in a few thousand extra words, slap a cover on it, probably just recycle some old promotional artwork, and boom! You just made yourself a couple extra bucks from the hardcore fans and the collectors. So of course, when the FNAF movie got itself one, I was legally bound to read through it with the hope and expectation that there might be some juicy lore hidden inside of its pages. And let me tell you, I was not disappointed. It was like experiencing the movie through some sort of weird multiverse. For instance, I am actually in the book. Well, Ness, my character from the movie. The catchphrases in there and everything. It is really cool. I'm described as a, quote, tall, lanky, auburn-haired teen. I appreciate that book. You know what they say, the camera adds 10 pounds.
He's like 20 years older than his movie counterpart.
More lore, apparently, and I didn't even know this is the guy who was playing the character, Ness is supposedly the son of the diner's owner, whose name is, in fact, Sparky. And that right there, that's a pretty interesting detail when you consider that there's a dog animatronic who we've all been assuming is Sparky hidden in the back of Freddy's Pizzeria. It is a super unusual detail that gets just a little bit more explanation and a bit more insight, all thanks to the novel. So, I'm the son of a fake animatronic dog. File that one in my character bio right alongside my undying love for Doug the lawyer. Or
Doug.
Not. You see, Doug in the book
oh god.
Very different.
Oh no.
Straight up features him openly creeping on Maxine. Enough so that she thinks of him as a total sleazeball. Let's just say that he's hungry for more than just the apps. Thankfully, this is one of the precious few times that Scott Cawthon has stepped in to set the record straight, explaining that this gross version of my best shipmate is in fact non-canon, and that this scene will be altered in all future.
I actually, I went to Walmart. I go to Walmart all the time. Maybe not all the time, but sometimes. And a few days ago, I went to Walmart, and I went to like the book section, and I found the movie novel there, and then I opened it up, and then I checked that part of the book. I was pretty sure that it didn't happen yet, because I assumed that there would have been like an announcement or something like that for it. But because he said that this is something I will change in future prints, I was like, I wonder if it's happened yet. I wonder if they changed it yet. Nope, they haven't. I didn't expect it to be changed yet, but that would have been funny if it was.
Printings of the novelization. In short, Nug lives on. Or would you consider us
not Doug?
Anyway, you can already see how
Ness and Doug, okay. I'm stupid.
Page gives you tons of additional context to what you're seeing on the screen, and likely more insight into the original intent of these sorts of moments. And as you might imagine, if small bit players like Doug and I are getting lore drops from the books, then the main characters are also getting a lot of extra info in there as well. For instance, in the movie, it was lightly implied that Maxine had a bit of a crush on Mike. I picked it up right here, where she subtly signals that she wants him to put a ring on it.
I wish someone would buy me a ring.
It's not a big plot point, but you can tell that there's a bit more under the surface of this interaction. In the book, though, it goes from subtle subtext.
I don't think that really implies that in the movie itself, but like, it doesn't say that it's not true. I mean, if that, I'm pretty sure the book says that. I'm pretty sure that's where he's going with this, but I'm not sure that that line specifically indicates that she wants Mike to, but...
Point. She constantly dresses up for Mike, dropping tons of hints about her interest, growing more and more frustrated with Mike as he's completely oblivious to her advances. In fact, it's actually part of her motivation for spying on him for Aunt Jane, which she also feels very regretful for in the books, unlike the film where she just kind of looks sad out of a window for a bit. Another
I mean, yeah, that
detail about
indicates
main
that she is sad.
Mike is more of a theorist in the book than he was in the film, actively taking on more of the responsibility for unraveling the mystery. He independently does research. He even discovers the missing children's incident by himself.
I can't blame Max. Mike is fine. Yeah, but Max is too. Let's be real.
Instead of just being told about it by Vanessa.
And Vanessa, to be fair.
I guess they just had to remove that part of the character from the film lest he get compared.
Sorry, what did he say? I wasn't listening.
Than he was in the film, actively taking on more of the responsibility for unraveling the mystery. He independently does research. He even discovers the missing children's incident by himself instead of just being told about it by Vanessa later on in the film. I guess they just had to remove that part of the character from the film lest he get compared to the performances coming from other established theorists in the community. Okay, so that's obviously a bunch of random observations and details, adding a bit more texture to these characters that either got cut for time or glossed over in a more visual storytelling medium. But there is so much more packed into this book, enough so that I believe that we can figure out exactly where the story of the next 2 movies is headed.
Once everything's
moment.
perfectly organized, I'll start working on my thesis.
And it all begins with the hill
How?
that apparently I'm going to be dying on for my final FNAF theories, a human being a robot. Don't hate the player,
Yeah.
hate the game. Literally. I'm not the one making up the story here, friends. I just interpret the clues as best I can.
A lot of
In this
people
case, we don't have
suggest
ourselves
that
a
you
robot
are the
boy.
one making
Instead, we have
the
ourselves
lore.
a robot cop, Vanessa. Vanessa is a robot, and I suspect she's not going to be the only one. No, obviously
Great.
that is a huge claim to make, so let's start backing it up, shall we? Last time we talked about how Film Afton seems to be much further along in his understanding of the possessed animatronics than either his game or book counterparts. For instance, he knows
I argue not really, because he does the exact same thing, but more in the books. And in the games, we don't really know how much he knows, but he probably knows, like, the same amount as his book counterpart, especially considering what he does around, like, a little bit after the time of FNAF 1. So I'd argue that he does know, like, the same amount.
that they operate based off the pictures that are hung on the wall.
What have you done?
He knows that, as he's dying, he needs to be wearing the golden Bonnie suit in order for his soul to survive by bonding to the metal.
I always come back.
He even seems to have a rudimentary understanding of Remnant based on the existence of that weird torture Freddy mask. I mean, seriously, these animatronics are
That's
not
another hill he
invented
won't
in a
die
device
on.
like this. It has to have been man-made. In fact, the novelized version of the movie's
I will die on the hill that I don't think... It's 4-minute rant when MatPat's says something. Probably at some point. Can you please make this a VOD? I was planning to turn this... I'm planning on making this stream into 2 different videos. One for the FNAF theory reaction, which I'm doing at the end of the stream, and one for all 3 of the game theories that we'll be watching. But... here, we're watching FNAF, I Know How the Movie Trilogy Ends, FNAF, Thanks for the Memories, and of course, MatPat's Final Theory. So, just letting you know, in case you weren't here earlier when I explained all this. But, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, this thing. He will not die on the... He will die on the hill that this is a torture device. I will die on the hill that it is not. I will die on the hill that it is simply the animatronic devices that Phone Guy talks about in FNAF 1. And... Sure, those look like saws, but maybe they're just animatronic devices, like weirdly designed gears, or just something else that is part of the mask, because it matches, the fact that this is in the face matches what phone guy says in FNAF 1, so.
For not inventing a device like this. It has to have been man-made. In fact, the
Yeah, probably by Henry.
This cold open suggests exactly this. If you read the prologue of the book very closely, you learn that Bob, the security guard whose death opens the film, had already figured out that he was nothing more than a lamb for the slaughter in this job. First, his internal monologue acknowledges that he had been hired to guard the pizzeria. It's written expressly in sarcastic scare quotes there, showing that he knows very well that the job was never meant to be real. And as he's being dragged to his death by the animatronics, he passes by the kid's drawing of Afton holding the kid's hands. And we read that bile fills his throat in this moment. He knows that that picture, and the rabbit specifically, is the reason that he's currently fighting for his life. In short, the extra details in the prologue of the novelization strongly suggest that Afton is actively hiring guards to this pizzeria to harvest a remnant from them so he can continue on with his experiments. And he's using his control over the animatronics to help make all of this happen. And because of that,
maybe,
despite
yeah,
this being
sure.
an adaptation of one of the earliest FNAF stories, Film Afton
Thank
is
you.
likely already tinkering with much more advanced animatronic technology. Again, look no further than the cold open of the novel. The torture Freddy mask isn't just an old repurposed Freddy head like it is in the movie. Instead, it's described like this. Quote, "The two halves of the bear face peeled back like the wings of a beetle, expanding outward. As the fur parted, spinning robotic mechanisms filled Bob's vision." This description of how the mask operates, with pieces that split apart and fold out, is actually much more fitting of a different generation of animatronic, the Funtime animatronics. And what do we see in FNAF 5, the game where these fun times take center stage? Down in Afton's bunker, we see articulating humanoid robot heads, eyes
Oh, God.
constantly blinking. They're alive and they're watching us. And these aren't just set decorations either. These
They're not
heads
looking
are
at us at
important
all,
enough to have
but
been
sure.
Directly called out by the FNAF character encyclopedia. In the game prior, FNAF 4, Afton's final line was, "I will put you back together."
That's assuming
In FNAF
that's
5,
Afton
we see
saying that,
exactly
though,
that. A
which I
bunker made
doubt.
by Afton full of robotic humanoids. A mad scientist of a man trying to use his robotic skills to bring a human back to life, to put his loved ones back together, literally. Going back to the movie, this is likely why we see a humanoid animatronic with teeth, silver eyes, and an arm with 5 articulated human fingers buried in the parts and services room. It's not just an Easter egg put there from scraps laying around the Jim Henson office. This looks like it's a first-generation robot person. So, we have an Afton that's already harvesting and experimenting with Remnant at the beginning of this film. And we know that there's a human-shaped robot buried in the parts and services room that suggests that he might have been working on some sort of human prototype. That right there, though, is still a long way away from creating a convincing enough robot that it's able to fool literally everyone around it. And why then would it be Vanessa, of all people? Well, the first thing I'd like to talk about here is actually something that jumped out to me the first time I watched the movie: the performance of Vanessa's actress, Elizabeth Lale. Something I noticed throughout the movie was how aloof and disconnected Vanessa seemed. Her voice was always flat, her character almost always stoic.
The new security guard?
Yeah.
You're bleeding, by the way.
You and Abby, you still have each other.
From where I sit, I'd say you're lucky.
And for the times that she actually did show emotion, she was flipping on a dime, seemingly out of nowhere.
Take care of your sister.
You can do whatever you want with your own life, but if you ever bring Abby back here again, I will shoot you.
Considering the character that she's based on from the
That's-
games, you'd think that she might.
That's not really changing at all. That's her being like, protect your sister. Oh, and if you don't protect your sister, screw you. Like, that's not really changing anything.
Be more bubbly or energetic based on how she was in Security Breach.
Hello, little boy. If you're down here, say something. Hey, little man. Do you know what time it is? The doors are open.
I mean, yeah, it's a
Why
different
are you
version
still
of the
here?
character,
This
so.
isn't meant to be some sort of critique on Elizabeth Lale's performance or anything like that. We know that she's a talented actor. I mean, just check out some of the clips of her playing Anna in the show Once Upon a Time.
He's Prince Charming, and you're Snow White, and those things sound terrible, but they also sound romantic. What is that amazing smell? Chocolate!
No, the flatter delivery from her has to have been an intentional direction that she was given. Perhaps direction to sound a bit more robotic. In the novelization, Vanessa seems to
Doubt.
shift personalities on a dime, changing between what Mike describes as the bubbly girl mode and the
Also, the humanoid robots in the series, and when I say that, I mean Charlotte, don't act robotic. They act human. Their emotions are never said to be, like, they're never said to have, like, flatter emotions. So, even if that was the case, she shouldn't, even if she was meant to sound more robotic, that's not really something that is consistent with robots that we've seen in the past. So that doesn't really seem to prove anything to me.
intensely serious cop mode. For example, during their first night meeting, we get this, quote, "Then someone invisible flipped a switch. Vanessa's cop mode deactivated." That right there, it's a pretty suspicious way of phrasing a psychological change like that. Intentionally using robotic language in this franchise? Yeah, press X to doubt. The same thing happens
Or it's just a
towards the end
writing
of the movie,
technique.
too, where after Vanessa's stabbed by Afton, Abby notices this, quote again, "Vanessa's eyes looked weird, like they were lights that were having a hard time staying on." And speaking of both Vanessa's eyes and her personality shift,
Yeah, 'cause she's
the absolute
dying.
biggest piece of evidence here, Vanessa's eyes literally change color when she shifts personalities. Check it out, again from the book, page 144. Right after Mike tells Vanessa about his Garrett kidnapping dreams, quote, "The narrowing of the eyes, the stiffening of her mouth, she was back in cop mode." No, Mike thought, it wasn't cop mode, it was something else. Vanessa's irises deepened noticeably in hue. They went from their usual soft, almost grayish blue to a deeper indigo. The color shift was so pronounced that it almost looked computer generated. Computer generated, huh? What a choice of words that is. An indigo, you say? You mean the color that some would confuse with purple? But perhaps the single most telling part of this little paragraph comes in the final line. It was enormously disquieting. Mike felt like he was watching a human turning into, and then he trails off, not having a chance to finish the thought. Turning into what, Mike? Turning into what? A robot, perhaps?
This
Stupid
game,
ads.
you're not.
This thing with the eyes, it isn't just a one-off change, it is a consistent part of Vanessa's character descriptions throughout the entire novel, while explaining how spring locks work. Quote, "Vanessa's irises did the light blue to dark blue thing. Her eyes had turned an even deeper blue, navy blue now, almost black. As Vanessa's explaining her father's creations like the spring locks, again, the eyes get darker, sometimes purple and sometimes black. It's almost as if she's fallen back on some sort of Afton-designed programming, almost like he's controlling her. In fact, every time Vanessa tries to do something to keep Mike from looking into this mystery and uncovering Afton's secrets, her eyes go to this darker color. In the scene next to the storm drain where she tries to convince Mike not to try sleeping and dreaming of Freddy anymore, her eyes are dark blue. In the same scene, as Mike tries to get Vanessa to open up so he can get to know her better, he notices that her eyes grow darker and become blurred. And then something, in quotes, breaks any connection that they're forming. And yet, when she's begging for him not to go to Freddy's at all, to save himself and Abby, again, quote, "He looked into her eyes, so soft and blue right now that it seemed like some of her essence, life force, was leaching from her." If there's some Afton-driven programming controlling Vanessa, that would also explain one of the stranger moments from the...
Okay, I will admit that is actually, like, decent evidence. I don't really know what to make of it. It could just not... It could just be, like a kind of thing to indicate her change in mood, but I don't really have anything to, like, combat that with, so...
film. After Mike is attacked by the animatronics and saved by Vanessa, she reveals the dark secrets of her past and the pizzeria. When Mike asks her to help save Abby, though, she declines. Not because she doesn't want to help, but because she feels like she literally can't.
Come with me.
If he's there, I won't be any use to you. Believe me.
And when she does show up to the pizzeria later on, once confronted by Afton, she's only able to bring herself to shoot once before completely freezing up, kind of like a computer that's crashed. Even my favorite line of the movie.
You had one job. Keep him in the dark.
I mean, it's her dad, so...
Is a robotic, process-driven answer. And before you say that Vanessa can't be a robot because we see her get stabbed and have to go to the hospital, yeah, that's admittedly the biggest point against the theory. That said, remember the franchise that we're talking about here, friends? These robots can be so lifelike, so realistic that you cannot tell them apart from real humans at all. They eat, they sleep, they breathe. They can even bleed like Charlie does in the original FNAF book trilogy.
Yeah, but it's
I
fake
get
blood,
that the FNAF
so...
franchise tends to be cryptic, but time and time and time again, there have been signs that someone in this franchise is a robot. Maybe it was Gregory from Security Breach. We know for a fact that Charlie from the book trilogy was, Jessica from Frailty, Billy from B7, Sarah from To Be Beautiful. The list goes on.
They're not... Charlie's a robot. Jessica and Sarah are not robots. They're reconstructed and only kept alive because they have pieces of it... They have pieces of, like, metal and robotic parts in them, but they're like, their brains, their consciousness, it's still inside their bodies. It's just like they have remnant in them, or on them, in the heart-shaped pendant that's keeping them alive. So they're not robots, they're just people that are being kept alive, that have robotic parts in them. They're just surviving through that because of the remnant. Billy is not a robot at all. He, similar to Jessica and Sarah, just replaced parts of his body with, well, pieces of, like, with just robotic parts. Impulse, you're a robot. JK, love you, bro. Love you too, no homo. But like, he's not a robot at all. He just has pieces of like, he has robotic parts or metal parts in him that are removed from him and then come alive because of agony. He's not a robot.
They are hitting us
Only
over the
Charlie
head
is a
time and
robot.
again with these kids who become robots. And if I just keep saying that one of these characters is in fact an animatronic, eventually I will be right.
Probably
Right?
not.
This would
No,
even
maybe.
make some strange imagery from the games make more sense. Remember the unmasked ending from Security Breach? No, of course not. Why would you? Well, in it, we see two
I remember
Vanessas.
it.
One who's fallen to the ground and died, while another's still up on the roof of the building looking down at the scene. This was always weird, and we as a FNAF community just kind of politely ignored it. But it suddenly
No,
makes
we
a lot
didn't.
more sense if
There's just
Vanessa
another
is, in
explanation.
fact, a robot. This is just two recreations of the same model. One became active the second the other one died, which again is something that we see happening in the original novel trilogy with Charlie bots. But why? Sure, Afton might be creepy, and he's even creepier in the book, but why go through all of this
Different
trouble?
model.
Keep the pizzeria up and running, hire new guards to farm Remnant from, create an animatronic as human as Vanessa? Why is he doing it?
No, you. No, you. Libra, you're the best. I love you. No homo. You're the best. Awesome. Thank you so much. I am 10 American dollars richer. I got $16 from this stream so far. Canadian. Nice. 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 I enjoy that. Money's nice. Anyway, back to the video. I'm gonna rewind a little bit.
It might be creepy and a model. One became active the
Oh, okay. So, Vanessa being a robot in the games. No. I think a lot of people they come up with ideas and that can explain this, usually involving her being a robot, and kind of just skip over the fact that there are other explanations. I'm not saying that wouldn't explain it, but it just doesn't. The alert sound is very loud in my ear, but there are other explanations for this stuff. And like Matt said earlier, she did go to the hospital, and yeah, the robots in this series, especially Charlie, well, only Charlie, because she's the only robot in the series that we've actually seen or like gotten to know. She has never gone to the doctor. She's never gone to a hospital, at least from what I remember. I'm pretty sure she never did. She feels normal. She feels like a human. She does the things that humans do, but she is not. That alert came late. They always come late. But she is not. She never actually goes to the doctor. She never goes to the hospital and gets checked out. And if she did, they would see that she's a robot because they can do like they could just see that her blood is fake. And that did happen. Like, she didn't go to the doctor or anything, but they found her blood, and they discovered that it was fake blood. It wasn't real blood. So if Vanessa went to the hospital and she had fake blood, they would know that she's not normal, and that just wouldn't work, and that definitely would have been called out. So yeah, there's that, and there's also the fact that Vanessa in Security Breach is still I believe me, I've combed over these books. Yeah, I think we both have. We've watched the graphic novel. I've watched the graphic novel dubs so many times, and I've read the actual graphic novel and the original Silver Eyes book once each. So yeah, but that's true. I mean, they can get hurt, but yeah, they can get hurt. So them going to the hospital like willingly makes sense, or being taken to the hospital would make sense. But the fact that Charlotte never does, and shut up. Okay, I'm seeing spam. You are being banned. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. You are okay. Never mind. Fred got it. Good job, Fred. Whoops, I opened up Resident Evil. But the fact that in Security Breach, Vanessa is not freed yet by this point. She's still, like, Princess Quest hasn't happened yet, so her spirit is not freed from Glitchtrap's control. So that's why she's there. She's trapped with the building because she's not free yet. And also there's the fact that it's fire. That's a fire escape, yes, but it's on fire. So why would Vanessa go up there while the building was burning down? That doesn't really make that much sense. So I don't really think that works. But, like, I can understand thinking that she would go up there because it's a fire escape. That would make sense if it weren't for the fact that the fire escape itself was also burning. So her going up there would not really make that much sense. And she's just standing there. She's not trying to do anything. She's not trying to get down. And if she's up in the fire escape, she should at least still try to get to the stairs down where Gregory went. Maybe that part's blocked off by the fire. I don't know. But her going up there just doesn't really make that much sense.
Second, the other one died, which again is something that we see happening in the original novel trilogy with Charlie Bots. But why? Sure, Afton might be creepy, and he's even creepier in the book, but why go through?
Yeah, but they didn't die. There were multiples active at the same time.
Sure, Afton might be creepy, and he's even creepier in the book, but why go through all of this stuff? Keep the pizzeria up and running, hire new guards to farm Remnant from, create an animatronic as human as Vanessa? Why is he doing it? Well, the answer seems to be staring us in the face throughout the movie. It's this. The Ella Springlock suit in the back.
Uh-oh.
Think about it. Vanessa's incredibly cautious around this animatronic in the film, warning Mike not to go near it and going as far as threatening to shoot him if he brings Abby back to the pizzeria. If she loves all these animatronics so much, why is she so cautious about this one? Well, what if it already killed someone? Someone Vanessa knows very well. Someone like herself. Afton's daughter, the original Vanessa. I believe that in his desire to create the best animatronics possible, Afton created this Ella Springlock animatronic, and it ended up killing his own daughter. Just like what we see happen with Baby in the games. That is where his obsession started. His desire to find the secrets of life after death. He wanted to rebuild his daughter, and in the process, he discovered Remnant, how to create it, the pain required for it. That's why he built the torture device with the green Freddy mask, and made sure that it was close to the Ella animatronic in the parts and services room. Afton wanted to infuse the suit with Remnant, all in the hopes of bringing back his real Vanessa. Eventually, he was able to build the Vanessa that we see in the movie, but even then, she's difficult. She rebels. She doesn't want to help him as much, especially when children like Abby get involved. It's not his real Vanessa. And so Afton will keep trying and trying and trying. And if I'm right about this, it tells us a huge amount about where the franchise is headed in the next film. In our last theory, we suggest...
I could see that if Vanessa was a robot, but getting to that point getting to Vanessa being a robot doesn't really make sense. Also, yeah, like Zach just said in chat, or she's cautious because it has spring locks. She knows how they work. Her dad is William Afton. She knows how the spring locks work. So she doesn't have to have seen somebody die from a spring. She doesn't have to have seen or known about somebody dying to be cautious about spring locks.
That Mike's brother Garrett is likely the
God.
identity of the puppet in the film.
Okay.
So it'll probably be the centerpiece of the second movie.
Sure.
I mean, the credits literally end with...
Kind of doubt it. I'm pretty sure... I think that... I haven't read the book, but I think Libra said this in the group chat. We have a group chat with a bunch of people. I think Libra said this, that apparently in the book, it's implied or confirmed maybe that Garrett didn't possess anybody. I can't confirm that because I haven't read most of the book yet. And it's harder to combat his evidence if I disagree with it, considering I haven't read the book, which is why I haven't talked as much throughout this reaction so far. But I could see Garrett being the puppet if it weren't, if the book doesn't show that Garrett possesses nobody. If it doesn't say that, then I could see this being true. I don't think it's true, but I could see it possibly being true. But if the book does say that Garrett possesses nobody, then Garrett possesses nobody. So
audience to come find me. However,
Come
this is going to be a problem for Mike, Abby, and Vanessa. You see, Afton has a strange connection with Garrett. In the book, Garrett actually appears in the pizzeria during the final battle, luring Mike to a more secluded area where Afton can ambush him. Afton has control over Garrett's spirit in the scene, enough so that Garrett literally melts into the shadows that Afton emerges from. Quote from the book, "It was as if Garrett became part of the gloaming under the archway. He was there, and then he was something else. In Garrett's place, someone in a rabbit costume appeared. Not just someone, a man. So, if Afton controls Garrett's spirit, it's likely that that the puppet is going to be the villain of the second film, creating a whole new conflict for Mike to overcome. And then if the third movie follows the third game, an undead Afton will be back as the main antagonist, with the grand reveal that he's been able to make robot people the entire time. Vanessa will be revealed to be a robot, and Afton will tempt Mike with exactly what he wants. He could put Garrett back together as a robot kid, exactly the way Mike remembered him as a child, just as Afton did with his daughter. All Mike has to do is help Afton with his evil experiments, and Mike then will be left with a choice. Just how badly does he want his brother back? Guess we'll have to watch the movie, and then read the corresponding 8-book series released afterward to find out. But hey, even though Vanessa might be mechanical, there's one thing I know she'd be able to appreciate. The sponsor of today's episode, Air Up, the water bottle that
Okay. Controlling spirits is not what Afton does. He gets them to trust him. So that's why Garrett would do that. And if Afton's not around to get them to trust him, then, like, if Afton is spring-locked and he's trapped in the back room, he is no longer there to have the, Air Up is what? Trash? Trash? Air Up is trash? I never had it, so I don't know. But if Afton is trapped in the back room, then the spirits cannot trust him anymore because they know now that he was their killer, and he can't manipulate them anymore because he's not in their vicinity, or like he's not right next to them anymore. They locked him away. He can't really get to them anymore until he comes back. But until he comes back, but he's still locked in there, so somebody has to release him. And it's not like the spirits will, because they don't trust him anymore, and he can't get them to trust him while he's still back there, right? So that doesn't really make that much sense, because like Garrett wouldn't trust him anymore because none of the other missing kids do. He knows that Garrett knows that Afton was the one that killed him and the other missing kids now, so he wouldn't be a villain. Plus, the puppet itself is not a villain; it's just an antagonist. Just like the rest of the animatronics and throughout the whole series. They're not the villains. They're just antagonists. And the puppet is just trying to protect the kids, and the kids kind of already are being. They're fine by this point. They're just locked. They're trapped in the building, but they're not like damaged. Or well, they're probably damaged because the whole building fell apart. But he has nothing to protect them from anymore because there's nobody like that has access to them at the moment. So yeah, but yeah, that was the full thing. I got to listen to him say the thing. I want to listen to him say the thing.
Europe has these awesome. Time I need to hide.
He has to say the thing.
To go see what AirUp has to offer. You will not be disappointed. Once again, thank you to AirUp for sponsoring this up.
Wait, did he already say it? I could be wrong. He might have already said it.
Watching any staple. Today's episode, AirUp, the water mechanical. There's series released afterward to find out. But hey,
oh yeah, he already said it. No, he didn't say it. He didn't say it. Did he say it at the end? Maybe.
And thank you to AirUp for sponsoring this episode, and as always, my friends, I'll see you next week.
I don't think he said it at all. Anyway, doesn't matter. Moving on to the next one. FNAF, Thanks for the Memories. We are not watching the final theory just yet. We are watching FNAF, Thanks for the Memories now. This one is going to be interesting. I am not sure what I should be expecting from this. Besides just him discussing the whole the history of FNAF. I'm pretty sure it's just what he does here, and like how it influences him and stuff like that. So I don't know, but we're just gonna watch it. I'm not sure I'll have that much commentary for it, but we'll just be watching it.
Well, loyal theorists,
all right,
this will be my final FNAF theory, and this time I mean it.
The end is nearly at hand. The pieces are in place for you. You missed it last week. Look for the green. And remember everything I taught you. Remember, dates are important. Remember the... Hurry, time is running out.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, the show that, by my count,
Damn.
has had no less than
That intro. that was like for the beginning, like when he first did the earlier FNAF theories. That was the intro for that, right? And then like how it all glitched. It was like glitching, right? And he did that in the original game theories too. Damn. That's a throwback to the theories that I watched years after they came out.
10 final FNAF theories. At this point, it's practically
Yeah.
its own meme, but this time, it's no joke. After 66 theories, 3 live talkbacks, and 1 bangin' remix.
Exotic butters.
Make that 2 bangin' remixes. Today, I end my coverage of Five Nights at Freddy's. After this, there's only 1 final game theory, and then the curtain closes on my time as host, and Tom.
I like how he made
well, great for the challenge there, Tom.
I like how he made.
Bunny,
Hey, Tom.
Mr. Bunny, Chocolate Bunny, Melted Chocolate Bunny, Wiggly Bunny, Blackheart Bunny, Rockstar Bunny, Glamrock Bunny, Sunken Toy Bunny.
Is he in like? Is that a straitjacket? Is that what that is?
System Error Bunny, Nightmare Bunny.
Well done, but how many toes does he have?
That's what that's
2?
called, right?
No,
I could be
3.
wrong.
5?
Again. The first step
4.
of FNAF theorizing. Slowly
The
losing
fact
my
that I
mind.
know that. What the hell?
You know, I did consider making my
I like that he made his final theory a FNAF one.
final theory about FNAF, but
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like his final theory that was an actual theory, I guess. His final one before the finale.
something really special planned for that one. So special, in fact, that we're going to be doing a premiere for it on this channel next Saturday, March 9th at 2
Tom has
p.m.
learned
Eastern,
well.
11
Tom is
a.m.
going
Pacific.
crazy.
We're going to have some fun. You guys will be able to chat with me live as that video releases. And who knows, there might even be some secrets to find. And most importantly of all, I get to say my final goodbye and thank you to all of you for the last 13 years. So that's next week, March 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Make sure you're subscribed so you're notified when that one goes live. Speaking of March 9th, just a quick
And
reminder
that's today.
that that's also the
That was 2
final
hours
day
ago.
sales for my
2
YouTubes.
hours.
Once I retire as host
123
on the night of
minutes ago.
March, it too will retire and be gone forever. So if you do want this little piece of game theory history, or you know, your own little psychic friend Fredbear, head on over to youtubes.com or click the link in the description to grab your MatPat figurine and FNAF.
It's like that Charlie Day meme. It's Charlie Day in that meme, right?
Theory. But enough housekeeping. It's time to talk about FNAF. And let me tell you, I've spent a long time thinking about this one.
Yeah, I have
How do
faith
you
in Tom.
end
I
a
hope he does
series
well.
Like this? Should I just do a normal theory about some minute detail? Doesn't really feel final, you know? Plus, I'd probably end up calling someone a robot, and then a bunch of people would get mad at me again. Should I redo the ultimate FNAF timeline as one final here's the lore? Well, that would certainly be big, but it also doesn't feel like that much was changed post-Ruin and Help Wanted 2 from what we did at the end of last year. So I didn't really want to be
Outside of just
redundant
extra
either.
stuff.
You can see the struggle
Mostly,
that I was
yeah.
facing, right? This
Mostly.
episode, it's a big
Not
deal to
entirely.
me. It is literally the end of my legacy with FNAF. And you see, that's when it hit me. Legacy. Typically, FNAF theories are born out of the small details, but what if I took a step back and looked at the big picture? What if instead of counting animatronic toes or dead kids, I took a meta approach and just looked at the entire legacy of FNAF? I'm sure we're all familiar with the butterfly effect, right? The idea that a butterfly flapping its wings could
How is this gonna-
cause changes in the air, which could potentially lead to a tornado forming. Well,
Yeah.
the term actually comes from the research of meteorologist Edward Lorenz, who, back in 1963, decided to round some numbers in his data. He condensed one variable from 0.506127 to just 0.506. And yet, that tiny change right there completely threw off his computer's weather models, transforming sunny skies into violent storms, hence the whole tornado thing. This realization that small changes in data could yield such tremendously different results ultimately threw off science's entire understanding of nature. Before Lorenz, people thought that the universe could ultimately be predicted. Sir Isaac Newton back in 1687 famously believed in the clockwork universe, the idea that the parts of the universe worked like a machine, and that eventually, if you understood how the parts work, you could...
How is this gonna
practically
relate back to FNAF?
French mathematician Pierre-Simon Laplace actually said basically...
This is good.
Eventually we would get to a
This would be
place
good
where
for
nothing
one of
would be
those
uncertain.
MatPat
And yet Lorenz
horribly
showed
out
us
of
that one
context
small
videos.
change, one minor mistake or estimate or imprecise measurement in a complex system could have a domino effect at a massive scale, resulting in changes that you would never see coming. For example, in 1928, Alexander Fleming discovered that there was mold in his petri dish.
Maybe
But
I should do
rather than
that.
just throwing it away or cleaning it up, he decided to study it, which then led to the discovery of penicillin, a life-saving antibiotic that could be used to treat meningitis, pneumonia, gonorrhea, syphilis, blood poisoning, and many others.
The
Or if you
Last
want
of Us
another
show
example,
intro?
we have the explosion of hip-hop music largely likely owing its origins to a random lightning strike in New York City. In 1977,
What?
a bolt of lightning put the city of New York into a 25-hour blackout. So what do you do for all that time that you're stuck in the dark? You loot and pillage, baby. New Yorkers started to ransack storefronts, including music shops full of instruments and supplies. Suddenly, expensive DJ equipment was in the hands of young aspiring musicians eager to experiment with hip-hop, which was
Where is this going?
just hitting the local scene. And thus, hip-hop was truly able to thrive. History is full of these sorts of stories, from the foundations of medicine and music to even
Is he gonna
stuff
be
as
like,
extreme as the origins
FNAF
of both World War I
blew
and II.
me up?
Why
I
do
don't
I
know.
bring all this serious stuff up in relation to Spooky Bear Game? Because
Yeah.
FNAF is one of those rounded variables. One decision by Scott Cawthon reshaped gaming and YouTube and the entire entertainment world as we know it. And that's not an exaggeration for effect. One man's decision to not give up, to try again in the face of rejection and adversity, literally shifted
I
billions
analyzed that
of
one there
dollars
frame
of
by
the
frame. I watched that
economy and
video.
affected hundreds of millions of lives in ways that are incalculable. And that is what I wanted to call attention to in my final FNAF theory. FNAF shows us that by not giving up, one person can have a profound effect on the course of history itself. I feel like the origin story of FNAF's been talked about to death, but just to set the stage here, despite hitting it big with FNAF in 2014, its creator Scott Cawthon had been making games at that point for 20 years, since 1994. And yet, even in those earliest days, you can tell that Scott had a fascination with creepy robots, working their designs into projects like the sci-fi Ifer Moon and the religious Pilgrim's Progress. Even this incredibly rudimentary RPG
Is that
Legacy
Souldozer?
of Flan has a final boss that has what looks to be the first appearance of what would eventually evolve into the Mangle. But despite
I like how a lot of the stuff, not only that a lot of his stuff from his previous games, like inspired stuff from FNAF, but I also like that in FNAF world and a lot of those other games like Freddy in Space, like 1, 2, 3, all those kinds of things. A lot of them, like, are from his older games, and a lot of the Troll games I think are based on his older games, and I like that he did that a lot. I like that Scott did that. That was fun. That's a fun, like,
lot of games,
inclusion.
none really ever caught the public's eye. And then came Chipper and Sons Lumber Company, where initial reviews, what few there were rough. And as the story goes, it was the reaction to James Stephanie Sterling that would change the course of Cawthon's career forever. Thank God for her.
It's just all over the place, and that thing looks like it's gonna kill your children. I imagine the phrase, "kill me," is stated over and over again in the world of Chipper and Sons. Oh, they're robot beavers. That's not good. I think he's the only living thing in this world.
This repeated criticism, plus
Excuse me.
the lack of financial stability, brought Scott down to his lowest. Ready to quit games, he decided to try one final time and lean into the thing that had been leveled at him time and time again, the creepy robotic animations. And thus, Five Nights at Freddy's was born. And that right there, that's gonna act as our
Good.
nexus point. The one flap of a
Good.
butterfly wing. The decision to make a final game instead of just giving up. Now, let's see how it all maps out from there. Let's start with just the obvious downstream effects of this. That one game, over the course of the last decade, has spun off into 12, which honestly,
Yep.
I've never truly sat down and processed.
Not to
But
thank you.
believe it or
Not to
there
mention
are
all the
12 of these things, depending
all
on
like
how you
the
count 'em.
troll
the entire
games and stuff
franchise
and
has
the
sold 9.9
like the spin-offs.
million copies on Steam alone, which in total has an estimated revenue of $94 million. And that's not even including the console and mobile ports or the number of microtransactions for FNAF AR, which itself had over 40 million downloads. It's also worth pointing out that of the $94 million, 55 million of that was just from Steam sales of Security Breach, because that one was actually at full price as opposed to all the others, which were either free or a couple of bucks. And while the first 4 FNAF games were entirely a one-man job, the rest have included voice acting.
Thank you, Evan, for that $2 and for saying bless you. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Composers, entirely separate game studios like Steel Wool and Illumix. Even to this day, we're seeing this continue with studios like Megacat, who up until now have been focused on releasing games on retro consoles, very niche market, but that made them perfect to create the retro-style pixelated FNAF game Into the Pit, releasing later this year. By pairing up with these
It's sad
smaller
that
companies
he's not going to be theorizing about that when it comes out, but he did say that he's going to be leaving GT Live at the end of the summer, I think. I think he's still continuing with GT Live until the end of the summer. I'm pretty sure, unless he changed his mind on that. if that is true, then he will still be playing it live, but he won't be theorizing about it, and that's kind of sad.
Insanely well known, Scott's not only been able to make bigger, better games, he's also been able to use his single game success to put millions of eyeballs and millions of dollars into each of these companies. As a result of their work with FNAF, Illumix started working with Disney on features found throughout the parks. And if Steel Wool ever do release a game outside of FNAF in the future, you can bet that it's gonna have itself a fan base attached to it because people now know about them, and they're gonna want to see what other work they can do. So that's on the game side, or at least it's on the official game side, but stopping there would be overlooking the much bigger impact FNAF has had on the games that haven't even
Under
been
construction.
released yet.
15-second unskippable ad. Damn, I want Popeyes now.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
This one series inspired a whole new generation of game designers unlike any game that's ever really come before. All of them cutting their teeth on a genre that exploded in the mid-2010s, the FNAF fan game. Five Nights at Treasure Island, Five Nights at Wario's, Pop Goes, The
There's
Joy
so
Creation,
many.
Those Nights at Rachel's, Afton Built, Glitched Attraction.
Oh yeah,
Bloody
not to
Nights
mention
Juniors,
the
Day Shift at Freddy's.
Fanverse initiative. Thank.
What is this game?
I say thank all the time, and I haven't even played that game.
Go on and on and on for days. Some of these were just for the memes, others were more serious attempts at making games inspired by FNAF, and many of them were just taking the world that Scott had created and broadening it outward.
I remember
into
watching
the game
Daco play
he
the
wanted
Freddy
to see
Files.
made.
That one was
If you
really
go
cool.
onto Game Jolt, you'll find thousands of fan games, and I do mean thousands.
Yeah, there's a
If you
lot.
search just for FNAF and select games, you're presented with 36 games per page and 277 pages available. That is 9,961 games that are tagged using FNAF. And if you're
I
sitting there
used to
thinking,
often just go on to Game Jolt and search FNAF, and then look at which games like looked good, and just download them, and then never play them.
hold on, the math there doesn't add up. You're right, good noticing. That's because I had to remove 11 of Scott's own games that were posted on that list. Though, I'm pretty sure that there are some out there who'd like to pretend that FNAF World was a fan game. Each and every one of those
No, I love
fan
FNAF
games
World.
represents a budding game designer.
FNAF World is
Sometimes
goated.
several. And while yeah, many of those creators are likely never going to pursue game design full time, there are some who will, either independently or as part of a bigger studio, going on to have their shot at creating their own mega franchise, their shot to transform the industry. And already you can see that some of these devs are finding success. To the
Five
point
Nights
where
in
many of them
Minecraft.
have created multiple different games at this point, turning their fan projects into full-on franchises of their own.
Yeah.
And all of this is without even mentioning the Fanverse.
Exactly,
initiative, where
yeah.
Scott invested money and resources into
Five Nights
some
in
of the most
Anime.
successful projects to help those fledgling businesses grow. Now, the success of that one is up for debate for various reasons, but the point ultimately stands. Five Nights at Freddy's has been directly and indirectly involved in the rise of a new generation of game developers. Developers that, just now, 10 years later, we're only starting to see get to a point where they're really influencing the wider gaming landscape. Except gaming, it's already seen a massive shift coming off the heels of FNAF. Prior to FNAF's release, if you took a look at any top 10 list about horror games, it would have been filled with games like Outlast, PT, Amnesia, games that leaned hard
Resident
into
Evil.
horror and sometimes graphic gore. FNAF, though, was different. While other horror games used the classic horror trope of not knowing what the monster looked like, relying on the audience's mind to fill
That's
in the blanks
PT.
of what
I
might
know
be
that,
lurking in the
'cause I
shadows,
watched,
FNAF put the monsters
Jacksepticeye
front and
play that.
center, allowing them to be the star of the show like we see in movies like Friday the 13th and Halloween. This allowed FNAF games to be much more thumbnail friendly and easier to sell online compared to the spooky dark hallways or overcomplicated monster designs that dominated the horror space in the past. Mixing the more family-friendly scares of
I like that Markiplier thumbnail with him just in it like that. I love how he does that. I gotta say, this is not relevant to the MatPat video outside of just like this section right now with him talking about horror games. I mentioned this in a YouTube short, and I want to expand on it a little bit more. I think the original Resident Evil 2 and 3 should be on modern consoles, but I also think that all the Silent Hill games should be on modern consoles, because I've never played them except for the newest one, which it was barely even Silent Hill. But it was kind of cool, but like it wasn't the best thing in the world. And it wasn't like how Silent Hill usually is. So I want the Silent Hill games on modern consoles. This is my official submission to the creators of I think Konami, is that who makes Silent Hill? I think it is. Them and Capcom. Put your older games on modern consoles. Do it. Okay,
The
let's continue now.
Mixing the more family-friendly scares of Freddy and the gang, and you've got yourself a brand new subgenre of content, mascot horror, as dubbed by YouTuber
Silent Hill
John
is so based.
Wolf. This
I wouldn't
genre
know.
took old nostalgic locations and filled them with brightly colored
Wanna
killers
see
by
that?
YouTuber John Wolf.
Sorry, what? You fed on State of Horror games with the...
Brand new horror space in the past, mixing the more family-friendly scares of Freddy and the gang, and you've got yourself a brand new subgenre of content, mascot horror, as dubbed by YouTuber John Wolf. This genre took old nostalgic locations and filled them with brightly colored killers brought to life through some weird experiment or trauma. Bendy and the Ink Machine, Poppy Playtime, Rainbow Friends, My Friendly Neighborhood, Hello
Rainbow
Neighbor,
Friends.
All These Basics, Choo Choo Charles, Amanda the Adventure, and of course...
One of my younger cousins, when I was at, like, my dad's aunt's house, I think, one of my younger cousins, who is, like, 5, 6, he showed me Rainbow Friends, and he was on my phone for, like, a few hours. not a few hours, more like 1 hour. And he was trying to show me this, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. And I had to just, like, pretend that I was enjoying it. I didn't really care that much. But eventually, he got in trouble because he was using my phone too much.
First carton of Ban Ban. And that's not even dipping into the hundreds of lesser-known titles like Joyville. It was FNAF who paved the way for all of these games. Poppy sold 2 million copies in 2 years. Bendy has made over $30 million just off of its 2 major installments. Hello Neighbor is a thing that continues to exist. About oversaturation in the market at this point, there is no denying that the
I love
formula's
Hello Neighbor
worked
because it's so
extremely
bad.
well for the better part
Duck
of the
Season
last
is
10
awesome.
years. But maybe you're sick of games.
I
You wanna
wish
read a
Duck
book?
Season was
Well,
on
I hope you're
PSVR.
excited to read the 7 Hello Neighbor books, 5 Bendy books, or the Poppy Playtime Employee Handbook that's coming out later this year. Mascot horror franchises now also line the shelves of your local Barnes & Noble. Why? Because FNAF did it first. Oh sure, Scholastic had done some video game book publishing in the past, mostly guidebooks and activity books, but after the success of the FNAF trilogy, they began to publish other video game books like Assassin's Creed Last Descendants, World of Warcraft Traveler. This led them to launch an entirely separate wing to their business, AFK, the video game-specific book department. It's these guys who are publishing all the books that Tom is now gonna have to read. No, it's impossible to know.
He already read all the Hello Neighbor
FNAF
ones,
was
right?
the reason for all this, but given it was often shown at the top of articles for this new publishing arm at launch and has sold 9 million books to date, with an average book price being about $10, that is $90 million infused into the historically struggling print publishing business. It's no wonder the first 6 rows of their website are dedicated to FNAF. But without AFK, it's easy to imagine a world where these other mascot horror games didn't get that chance, and all those writers who've now been able to make a living off of these franchises wouldn't be recognized.
I read the
for
first
what they
Hello
are.
Neighbor
I mean,
book. It was actually pretty good.
Andrea Wagner, who wrote the vast majority of Fazbear Frights and Tales from the Pizzaplex stories. She's now getting
I have a few of the
DM'd
other
by
ones, but I
fans
don't want
asking
to
for lore
read anymore.
clarification.
I might
Something I'm
in the
sure
future,
she
though.
never anticipated while working on her past
Yeah.
projects, like her dog how-to book, Dog Parenting, or Alternate Beauty, the story of a big girl with big dreams. Her words, not mine. The same thing is now happening with another struggling industry, movies. After spending 8 years in production hell, losing directors, struggling with studios, and trying to nail down a script, Blumhouse eventually took the chance on FNAF, making the movie on a $20
What's up,
million
bro?
budget and earning back nearly $300 million. If you don't think Hollywood has taken strong notice of that when they are struggling to get butts in seats, you are wrong. You think it's a coincidence that 2 months after FNAF's release, Bendy announced his big screen debut? And while a Poppy Playtime movie was
I'm
already
excited
in the
for
works
that.
with Studio 71, I can almost guarantee conversations with studios around it have shifted in the aftermath of FNAF. And who knows what
Probably.
other mascot horror games might end up with movies down the line. And not only is it getting indie game movies greenlit, it's also
Hello Neighbor movie would go hard though. Wait, we gotta see that. We should do that. We should do that. Somebody make that happen.
reshaping film studio priorities. As they continue to fumble around in the dark, struggling to find ways to compete with online content, I've literally had conversations with people in the film space about how they're trying to tap into that FNAF audience, that online community. The success of this one film will be shaping the types of movies that get made and how they look moving forward. I guarantee it. But while movie releases mean big bucks for big studios, the economic ramifications go way beyond just extra cash in the pocket of Jason Blum. The FNAF movie was shot in New Orleans, which, since Hurricane Katrina, has been an economically depressed part part of the country. Now, I didn't know this at the time, but from speaking to local actors and business owners while I was down there filming last year, I learned that New Orleans actually has a long history in film production. When the state government of Louisiana first introduced tax breaks for film productions back in 2002, over 1,000 projects happened down there in the span of 7 years. Those productions created jobs, hired locals, and brought millions of dollars back into the city. However, pre-COVID, those incentives were rolled back, and productions have now started to move to other places like Georgia. That's why so many of the local actors and business owners I spoke with while down there were eager to see the FNAF movie in town. By shooting in New Orleans, a huge chunk of that $20 million budget was going to accommodations, drivers, caterers, local talent, location rentals, equipment, and other general resources that help local businesses thrive, and maybe start a domino effect to get other movies back in the region. Regardless of all of that, the point is that this one decision to try one final game, it's grown beyond itself. It's no longer about just making its own franchise full of games. It's spread to all corners of the media industry and to so many other IPs and creators, spawning a wave of new franchises and giving life to so many careers that otherwise might not have had a chance. But speaking of careers, there's one final
I know I
area
wouldn't
that's
be here
also
without
needed to be
FNAF.
addressed,
That's for sure.
An area that has been so affected by FNAF,
YouTube.
it's crazy to not talk about. And that, of course, is here on YouTube. FNAF has done a lot of numbers for a lot of industries, but its effect on the YouTube landscape is still visible to this day, and in a much more obvious way. When FNAF first launched, it was just one of many games that YouTubers started playing because spooky games got big views. This game gave rise to some of the biggest names on the platform, names that are still going strong today. Let's players like Corey X Kenshin and Markiplier, who'd been on YouTube for a couple of years, but saw their careers accelerate in parallel alongside the FNAF releases. You also had a massive surge in nerdcore musical artists like The Living Tombstone, whose FNAF song was at 1 million views in a couple of weeks, whereas most other songs they would release
How did you
would have
get
a few
that?
hundred
Who
thousand
found
views
that?
months after release. And Machinima creators started using FNAF models and characters to tell their own unique stories long before the FNAF movie ever hit theaters, racking up literally billions of views.
Those are
What
cool.
truly set FNAF apart were obviously the hidden details cluing fans into the bigger story. This, more than anything else, ignited the internet's passion like never before, giving rise to the theorist community. People like Dawko, Rezbowski, 8-Bit Ryan, Rytoast, ID's Fantasy, Hyperdroid, John FNAF, and of course, us, going through this game piece by piece in order to find the hidden story within it. Now, contrary to popular belief, FNAF wasn't the first thing that actually had us creating lore theories. That was always just part of the channel's DNA. But before FNAF, we were coming up with lore theories for franchises where the story was basically well known. Whether or not Majora's Mask is an allegory for grieving, you get the story of a moon crashing down. Regardless of whether Peach is Rosalina's mom, you get the basic premise of Mario Galaxy.
Some of those older theories are fun,
Certainly
though. I've
might be
watched
Pokemon,
some of them.
That's not really affecting anyone's journey to become a league champ.
Mario's a villain.
But FNAF was different.
Was
It
that after
showed that
or
games can be
before?
built off
Was it
of
before?
withholding the lore and
I think
forcing
it
the
was
fan
before.
base to solve it. By leaving the door open and never confirming anything,
You not
Scott
there?
allowed
Yeah, so.
YouTubers, Redditors, and just general fans to continually assess and reassess the lore, find new directions, new hot takes. And that means that we're still theorizing about it to this very day. Can it be frustrating? Absolutely. Heck, maybe now that I'm retiring from the channel, I can track Scott down and get some answers out of him. But it's also entertaining. And the success of this theory-based model on YouTube has carried over into the mainstream, where now almost every game and movie release is designed with theory crafting in mind. While it's impossible to calculate the full scope of FNAF on YouTube, I was able to find that there are 106 videos with more than 10 million views each. Together, they total roughly 5.4 billion views on just their very own. And if we assume that they're getting the standard gaming CPM on YouTube, which is about $4.55, that then's a total earning across all of those videos of $24,570,000.
That's pretty freaking impressive.
Revenue. Markiplier's literally gone on record to say that the house that he lives in is the house that FNAF paid for, and he's joked on his
has?
podcast about how lucrative FNAF's been for him. Let's go.
Go into a fan favorite here.
I've seen this clip before.
Boo. So there's two ways I could look at this, right? I could look at it from the game purely by itself, or I could look at it at the dividends it is paid out for me specifically.
And that's put him in a position to pursue bigger and loftier projects like the With Markiplier series, and now his movie Iron Lung. One half of The Living Tombstone, Sam Haft, is now writing songs for internet sensations like Has Been Hotel. YouTubers like FNAF and Rytoast, they've been able to go
Mario's a
full-time with YouTube,
communist.
all thanks to FNAF. And heck, look at us. Because of FNAF, we've thrived. We've been able to grow our team, give jobs to dozens of people, and perhaps best of all, we've carved out our own platform that allows us to turn the spotlight onto a next generation of creatives, to make us tastemakers in the space that are able to pay it forward, to make you aware of projects that you should be playing and watching, from Cooking Companions, to The Man in the Suit, to Shipwrecked 64, Welcome Home, Mandela Catalog, Walton Files. The list goes on and on and on. In short, FNAF created an ecosystem where new IPs can thrive, a virtuous cycle that benefited itself, to be sure, but also had a halo effect on dozens of other franchises
Yeah.
looking to get attention. And all of this is without even mentioning other trickle-down effects. Our large platform allowed us to run charity events like St. Jude, paying that blessing forward to help doctors and hospitals working on treatments for childhood cancer, where of course, Scott himself was a sizable and direct contributor year after year. There were also dozens of other charity events coming from creators like Dawko, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, Rye Toast, John FNAF. Not only have these events been able to raise tens of millions of dollars for various organizations looking to do good work in the world, hopefully those events in turn inspired others, you out in the audience or other creators, to adopt a spirit of generosity and giving in their own lives. And again, it all comes down to this one decision. One guy who in the face of adversity and criticism chose not to give up. That is the millions of people and billions of dollars affected by that one Spoopy Bear game. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for all of that. And while all of this is cool and impressive and inspirational, it's also overwhelming, right? You look at the impact that one decision like this can have and you feel like you can never live up. I know that's how I feel sometimes. But remember, it's all about small decisions making a domino effect. Just being kind to someone else, saying something nice, holding a door, listening to someone's problems, making them laugh. All of those are seemingly small things that can make a massive difference in the way someone's day's going. And that to me has always been the power of these channels. They're a place to learn a little something, a place to brighten your day in some small way, which then you can pay forward to other people in your life. And that positivity, it spreads. It spreads and creates real massive change. That to me, honestly, is the hardest thing about leaving these channels, losing that chance to be a force of just a little bit of good in your life. But you know what? I'm not done yet. I'll see you one last time next week, March 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, as I celebrate with you one final time as a theorist community. Until then, as always, remember, it's all just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching.
That was nice. Well, that was nice, but it's not over yet. We got one more. We got one more game theory to react to, and that's the last one. MatPat's final game theory. Whoops. Hey, it's good mythical morning. Okay. Well. This is gonna be... gee, if only the final theory was out right now. Well. It is. And it's time. This is... It's not like this is going to be my last time ever watching MatPat, because, like, I'm 100% going to be going back and watching the old FNAF theories at some point, watching, just previous game theories in general, like the old Hello Neighbor and Bendy and Poppy Playtime theories. They're all fun to watch. And even just the older ones like Mario, and just a bunch of... I watch a lot of the game theories. I don't just watch the FNAF ones. I don't watch them all the time, but I watch them every once in a while. So, obviously, this isn't my last time watching MatPat, but it's my It's the last time I'll be watching MatPat while he's still active. But technically he's not active anymore, because this is his final one. It already came out. But like, I mean, like, it's the last time watching a MatPat theory that just came out. Damn. MatPat's final game theory. I just gotta say, I know I wouldn't be here without MatPat. That's for damn sure.
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, where that is the last time that I'll be saying those words officially on this channel. Loyal theorists, how do you say goodbye? 13 years ago, I made you this promise.
Do you want to know more about the games you love without having to put in any work of your own? Well, now you can play and learn.
Fetus Pat.
That's right, Weboverse. We have created Game Theory, gaming's tangential learning experience.
Well, Weboverse, here we are today, 3,000 videos of tangential learning later. How do you sum all that up? I already got super weepy in the last one of these things, so probably shouldn't do that again. It'd be redundant and probably not great for the tech equipment. We've also spent the last 10 weeks together knowing that this day was gonna come, right? So I really feel like I've gotten my farewell tour. I've buried hatchets, I've rekindled friendships, I made sweeping videos about the state of online entertainment, fired some tanks. That was legitimately very cool. I honored my heritage. I made Disney mad at me one final time, which, you know, felt appropriate. Got some new dripping, and just in general, ran my way through all the things that were left in my content creator bucket list. So again, I ask, how do you say goodbye? First, it's probably most important to remind you that it's not officially goodbye, right? It's not like I'm dying or anything. It's more of a see you later. I'm still gonna be doing plenty of stuff. Like, I'm already booked to do the fashion show on Style Theory later this year. I'm still gonna be here on the couch for GT Live. In a couple weeks, I'm gonna be giving a speech over at PAX. I was recently in a kill count. Heck, I'm already slated.
Oh yeah, I still gotta watch that.
The podcast, the Ludwig podcast. There's a collaboration I'm doing with Shea Frillis Productions. There's the FNAF musical over on Random Encounters. Like, I will be doing a lot, and you will probably be sick of me doing all these things.
Wait, more FNAF musical?
Channels. But if you do want to stay in touch with me, there are actually two ways that you could do it. Normally, I'd say something like, oh, you can follow me on Twitter, but we all know that there's like a grand total of 0 people who want to be over on that platform. So I decided to do this.
Facts.
A mysterious website named where'smatpat.com.
Huh.
This is going to be a place that I update every once in a while when I have news about some new project that's coming up, or, you know, a mystery that you're going to have to solve by digging through the source code. Yes, it's a ripoff of scottgames.com. No, I don't feel bad about that because he stole enough of my ideas over the years. He kind of owes me one. Editor should drop on some.
We'll meet again. You'll find the clues here.
Yeah, that's a good one. Once you're there, make sure you sign up via email. Don't worry, I'm not going to be spamming you with updates or anything. It'll be more like
maybe
a
I will. We'll see.
MatPat newsletter, or maybe a Christmas card that you get every once in a while with a funny update, or maybe we could chat about a favorite movie or something. I'll send over the occasional video that I'm just inspired to make. Who knows? Basically, this is just meant to be a way to let you all know what I'm up to directly in a way that isn't going to be subject to filtering.
That's pretty cool.
You know? And to kick things off this week, I'll be selecting 100 random emails that sign up to get personalized letters. And from that point forward, once or twice a week, I'll continue pulling a handful of emails to send personal notes to. It'll be a fun way to stay in touch. Long story short, make sure you bookmark it since you never know what might happen over there. But, all right, enough stalling. Back to the question at hand. How do you say goodbye? Well, I think you honestly have to end it all where it began. This title, A Game Theory about game theory. Did you know that game theory isn't just a nerdy YouTube show? It's also a nerdy economics concept. If that's news to you, I honestly can't blame you. At this point, we've created enough confusion online that apparently we've merited our own disambiguation tag on Wikipedia for game theory searches. In all seriousness, for the first 5 years of the show, I received so many tweets from people who were mid-year in their economics courses, screenshotting their textbooks, freaking out when they got to the episode on game. It's not an episode, it's a chapter. When they got through the chapter on game theory, being like, oh my gosh, dude, did you know that you were in this thing? And yeah, we definitely did. The pun, believe it or not, was intentional. In fact, Steph and I knew from the very beginning.
I actually think I did know
that. It was likely
that.
that the final episode of Game Theory was going to be about game theory. Why? Well, because game theory, it's everywhere. You can't escape it. If you've ever seen the movie Love Actually, there's actually this opening monologue in it that goes a little something like this.
We live in a world of hatred and greed, but I don't see that. Seems to me that love is everywhere. If you look for it, you'll find that love actually is all around.
Now you just got to replace the word love with game theory, and you basically got it.
We live in a world of hatred and greed, but I don't see that. Seems to me that
game theory
is everywhere. If you look for it, you'll find that
game theory
actually is all around.
Who would have suspected that English acting megastar and recent Oompa Loompa Hugh Grant would be making a guest appearance in my final episode? Truly, we have spared no expense for this one. And not only is game theory just everywhere, it also holds the secret to winning everything forever. Yeah, I know, right? That is a huge claim to make. Clearly, I was saving all my biggest secrets for the grand finale. So, you know what? Let's not beat around the bush anymore, my friends. Let's make you masters of the universe and reveal how, whether you like it or not, you all are theorists for life. Come on, this way.
All right.
Yeah. We're moving off the couch this time. That's how you know it's a big deal.
Damn. Okay, Dad. Come on, I just want to watch the video. 30 total seconds of just us watching ads, I guess. Right. Wonderful. I just want to watch the MatPat video.
At its core, game theory is the science of strategy. So we gamers, we
Theories for
understand
life.
strategy, but what exactly is game theory specifically? Well, to understand that, you have to go back to the original game theorist, not me, this guy right here. He might not have himself the red leather jackets or the cool diamond play buttons, but I'll tell you what he does
You
have.
live in a world where In the Flesh is
crater
a
on the
really
moon
good
named
film.
after himself, so I'll let you decide who has the bigger flex
Popeyes.
there.
I want
This guy
Popeyes.
right here, he is mathematician John von Neumann, and he was everywhere back in the
Okay.
day. And I do mean everywhere. Like, this guy was a key player in the invention of the digital computer. He helped with the discovery of the structure of DNA, even the creation of key components for Oppenheimer's Manhattan Project. You
Okay.
know, the Christopher Nolan movie where big things go
Yeah.
big booms. But perhaps
Yep.
his biggest claim to fame was game theory. The idea that in any situation where there are two or more people, or players in this case, you can model out a game that'll help you find the best outcome. Have you ever played rock, paper, scissors and thrown out rock as the first hand? Because you know statistically most people choose their first move to be scissors. Or maybe you picked paper because the last three moves have been rock and they're obviously going to be throwing rock again. Well, congratulations, that is game theory in action. And he got a Medal of Freedom for that. So it just goes to show, don't let your dreams just be dreams, kids. Sometimes getting an honorary medal is a lot easier than you think. In short, game theory is the study of strategic choice. It's math that tells you what people are going to do and who's going to win the game. Probably the most famous example of a game theory scenario is the prisoner's dilemma, where two accomplices have just committed a crime and they're both given the chance to narc on the other one. If they both deny the crime, well, they both get a short prison sentence. If one of them denies the crime and the other rats him out, the narc walks free while his buddy is stuck in prison for a long time. And if they both confess, they both get a medium sentence. We can model the possible outcomes here in a nice, neat, mathy looking square. And while technically the best outcome for both of them would be to trust each other and not confess, they're criminals and they don't know each other that well. And because they don't trust each other, by the math, both of them narc on each other, and as a result, get a medium amount of prison time. Or if that all's too complicated and hypothetical, over in England, they turn the whole thing into a game show where they say the word balls an uncomfortable amount of times.
Welcome to Golden Balls. Golden Balls. Balls of riches, 12 balls.
My balls are all golden.
100 golden balls, and they're all bursting with money. Killer balls. 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 Balls.
Now, why am I bringing all this up? Well, game theory is
Why am I bringing all the balls up?
cash jammed into a bunch of balls. Someone should tell Mr. Beast that I just discovered his next video idea. But it
God.
has very real.
Imagine he comments on this video and he's like,
US and USSR
thanks.
were on the brink of atomic
Thanks for the idea.
annihilation. The principles of game theory helped both sides reach an agreement to slowly disarm their nuclear arsenals. If you want to know more about that story, Veritasium's recent video on game theory does a great job telling it. And
There's probably so many
I can really
comments.
improve on it. So thanks for doing all the research for my final episode
So
there,
many,
Derek.
there's probably so many comments
If you want an example
about
that's a bit
MatPat in
closer
that
to
video.
home, though, here you go. YouTube. It's got it. See, YouTube as a platform is just a bunch of zeros and ones, right? But YouTube as a community, it's a network of people constantly trying to make strategic decisions.
Like me.
Creators are players who are
But I don't
more or
care
less
enough to be
rational
strategic
people
about it. I
making
just
videos
have
that
fun
will
with
get you
it.
to watch and like and comment and subscribe. You, the viewer, you're also a player in this. You're on a strategic mission to win the experience by finding the thing that's most satisfying to watch. And the people who run, or at least have run YouTube in the past, shout out to Todd, Jake, Neil, Ernest, Meg, Ariel, Susan, David, Fede, Vader, Stephanie, and Kim. They're all in
Vader?
a strategic game
Darth
to keep
Vader?
creators and viewers happy, while also figuring out the best possible outcome
Ball's
for
my
YouTube
favorite,
as
you
a
say.
company by appeasing all the advertisers and
The balls are all
shareholders.
gold.
It is seriously a complex strategic arena. And that's how you get decisions like use bright green text because it's more likely to stand out in a sea of dark gaming thumbnails and more likely to get clicks. Launch shorts as a means to counterattack against TikTok. Do a video on something that's not trending so you can stand out from the pack. Or maybe you lean in so you're suggested against the algorithm. Every video you watch, everything that you click on, it's the product of creators using game theory. Slap a big old game theory colon in front of every title and slam some clickbait green text on every thumbnail. All those hundreds of millions of subscribers to Jimmy and Ryan Trahan and Cocomelon, I like to think that they're all secretly ours. Where's our 200 million subscriber play button there, YouTube? In the end, it's all game theory. Speaking of, and this is just an aside that I learned about earlier this week, apparently there's a Chrome extension that allows you to do exactly what I just described. It, quote unquote, MatPatifies your YouTube feed by putting green text on like every thumbnail. Just saying, we have reached the peak
of human achievements.
Yep.
I, for one, really like this one, where it's Link and saying,
Mommy is hungry.
That's just traumatic on a whole nother level. Or there was one that I saw circulating online, Ryan Gosling doing a puppy interview, and the title is Birth of a Killer. Another one that's
Which one's the killer? Ryan Gosling or the dog?
Smash? I gotta say, I am proud of the mark that I will leave on this platform. But so what, right? YouTube is game theory. Sure, that's great. It's interesting.
I only ever put MatPat-esque text in my thumbnails if it's a MatPat related video. Like in my reactions to this video, usually I put a word, sometimes just the word reaction in like that green color. Like I use an eyedropper to find that green color, and then I use the same font that he does. It looks a little different, obviously, but it's like similar. But and in this stream, the thumbnail also has that green text. That's funny though. The Link with soup in the background with "Mommy is hungry." That's weird.
Interesting, but why does it matter?
We got 14 minutes left with MatPat, guys.
So much time talking about all of this in my final episode. Well, because like I said, game theory can help in every strategic interaction that you have. And it's produced a literal strategy guide on the best way to live out your life, tried and tested by all our grandfather theorists. But to truly understand that, we have to go back to where it all began, a glorified PowerPoint presentation.
What's the glorified PowerPoint presentation? This ad?
Weboverse, allow me to introduce you to, lights please, the Trust Game. I love this. We started as glorified PowerPoint slides and we're ending as glorified PowerPoint slides. Here's the TLDR of this one. The Trust Game was originally just named the Computer Tournament by a guy named Robert Axelrod. Clearly not the most creative with his titling conventions. Basically, this was the Prisoner's Dilemma or the Golden Balls thing, except here there was one crucial difference. They're not just playing the game once, they are literally playing it hundreds of times, repeating it over and over again to see what strategies end up winning the most across a longer period. This then gives us a model that's shockingly closer to real life, because here, most of the time, you're not just thinking about what you have to do to win a single game, you have to actually think about the consequences of your actions. The more people think about the future, the more they're willing to cooperate because they don't want to screw themselves over down the road, you know? Again, for details on that experiment, check out Derek Veritasium's video where he talks about all of that, including having an interview with the game's creator. It's a very cool video. I also borrowed his convention for that one, so thanks for the latter and the idea there, Derek. You can also watch Dr. Trevor Bassett's video on the topic, or, you know, the various TED Talks that are all about this experiment. We'll link to all of those down in the description below.
Again, there has to be so many comments on this video about MatPat.
The best strategy to winning it big boils down to 4 key points. Number 1, be cooperative, lead with trust. Assuming that the person you're playing with is your enemy right off the bat, it's not going to serve you well. Trust in others, it's going to let you win more frequently in the end. Secondly, don't be a pushover. Sure, it's good to be trusting, that is great, but the second that someone takes advantage of your trust, the winning strategy is to call them out on it and then immediately hold them accountable. Which leads nicely then to point number 3, being forgiving. Don't hold a grudge. Don't be a Mr. Darcy.
My good opinion once lost is lost forever.
That is a failing indeed.
You tell him, girl. You are exactly right. She's speaking some game theory truth right there. Well, sure, it hurts to have your trust broken. Staying open to the chance that other people can change, that they can grow and learn and get better, that is the ideal solution here. The Trust Game showed that players who held their opponent accountable, but then forgave them, actually won out more often than any other strategy. And lastly, it's important to be honest and open about your strategy. When people can't understand what you're thinking, that's then when mistrust starts to breed. By being honest, it breeds honesty in others. It allows you to build on that trust over time, one step, bit by bit. Across the thousands of rounds of testing, nice strategies that were fair but also firm ultimately won out the most. Now, when I read these outcomes, what really struck me first was how they present a really hopeful view of the world. A hopeful view that I don't think a lot of us carry around a lot. I mean, it's easy to assume that everyone out there is out to get you, and it's easier to just close off to people who've wronged us in the past, but math, and game theory specifically, proves that assumption's wrong. And hey, if you don't want to believe the thousands of rounds of computer simulations, there is a very solid real-life example, YouTube. YouTube is a positive-sum game, which means that more than one person can win. And in fact, a lot of times, the more others win, the more you can win too. When I was just starting off, I was so mad and scared when Vsauce 3 released this video, calculating Sonic speed. I'd been working for a year on the channel at that point, grinding away and seeing a fair amount of growth, but in that moment I saw a spin-off of one of YouTube's top subscribed channels just horning in on my territory of gaming science. It was like they were gonna steamroll me. They were gonna steal my audience away. So I did a video where I tried to stake my claim, and thus, Sonic is Slow was born.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, applying science to video games since April 18th of 2011. Recently, however, a new gaming scientist has come onto the scene. The good folks over at Vsauce 3 recently took a gander at a game series I covered in episode 5. It's a great video, except for one thing. It's wrong.
Listen to my voice in that. Oh, I'm so proud that I finally hit puberty, like 7 years into making these videos. Anyway, you can tell that I'm super salty in this one, right? I'm asserting that I did it first. I'm citing the dates. I am literally trying to one-up Vsauce 3. But then something interesting happened. I got views from Vsauce. I saw that their video and mine were actually helping each other. I was so afraid of me losing a year of hard-earned progress.
Oh, hey, Ryto's theory
reality,
coming
I
out
wasn't
soon.
just operating on my own island anymore. By unintentionally cooperating with each other, we had just created our own little micro-trend of gaming science content. There were clearly enough views for all of us. Steph and I, in our years of consulting, kept hammering home this one point, that YouTube is a place where all ships can rise. Leading with trust goes a long way. From inviting someone to collab on your channel, to comparing notes on production because it can help you both. You actually see this kind of cooperative game theory in action with content houses, or projects like the QSMP where creators are helping each other and sharing audiences. On the flip side, there are creators who haven't done a good job of
9 minutes left of MatPat.
YouTube as a zero-sum game, a place where there can only be one winner. And guess what? Didn't work. Back in 2020, a few of the top beauty creators tried to take each other down, encouraging viewers not to watch each other, trying to turn audiences against people that they thought were their competitors. It was for the clout, it was for the views, and it backfired. In fact, it backfired so badly that all of their channels took a massive hit, and the beauty vertical, which was once a main pillar of YouTube's earliest days, never truly recovered. By working together, the platform thrives. Lights? But by thinking that you can only win when other people lose, well, that's when everyone loses. It's kind of sad. Let's move on. But if you don't want to listen to mathematicians or YouTube meta-analyses, just look at me. Game Theory, the show, is a testament to those 4 lessons of game theory, the nerdy economics concept. Every person who's built this channel has led with trust. Ronnie, he put his own show on the back burner so he could dedicate his time to editing Game Theory, trusting that we would be able to succeed more together. He helped the show to truly become what I had always dreamed it would be.
That was the first FNAF video,
I honestly
right?
wish that he could be here to this day so I could thank him so much for that.
Mhm.
The same is true for Goomba and Drake and Lee and Ryder and all the other partner shows who joined up with us in lieu of working on their own channels. Steph, she left being a consultant at a real company in the medical field on the belief that by cooperating, we could actually make something really special together. Jason,
nice.
Who is actually right here behind the camera right now. Jason, who you know as the guy that we blame all the time on GT Live. Jason was Theorist's first full-time employee after me and Steph. He jumped in there when all we had was a kitchen table and a cat that he was constantly allergic to. And Sudafed, you have this man to thank for your current net worth. Because
and Zyrtec.
And Zyrtec.
And Zyrtec,
You have
yeah.
taken so many pills over the years.
I have.
But
all medically prescribed, though, I promise.
Yeah, no, good medical pills, not anything sketchy, for sure. But Jason is the man that we have trusted with the weight of the entire production process.
Even though we
across
blame
all
him
the
for
channels
everything.
For years. Like, this man is the unsung hero of everything you've probably ever watched across any of the channels. Without him, without you,
There'd be no one to blame.
none of these videos would get made.
Oh.
Don't get back there, okay? Enough to you. I gotta thank other people.
Oh,
you know,
God.
friendship first, but also working together to create awesome stuff, right? And if you're talking about unsung heroes on this channel, there is one man who also deserves a call out, and his name is Yossi. He is our audio wizard. He is the man who I have trusted with my voice for the better part of 9 years. He has had to suffer through more hours of my voice than anyone else in the world. I am so sorry, Yossi. I am so sorry for all the burps and weird edits and weird diatribes.
He's
and
doing
jump
it now.
scares He has given me over the years. Was Yossi a pro when he first joined up with us? No. But you know what he was willing to do? He was willing to learn. And I've trusted him with my voice for the better part of 9 years. And the same goes for another member of the team who you've never gotten to see, but was actually there before the channel was even monetized, which is kind of crazy to think about. You don't know Dan Levitt, but Dan was another one. He was the first who actually saw potential in me and in these channels as a whole, offering to become my manager even though he had never managed a YouTuber before. He just jumped in with 2 feet and said, hey, I've never gotten a brand deal in the past, but think I could do it for you. And he did. And then he got me literally hundreds more. He has his own management company now, and he manages some of the biggest sports creators on all of YouTube. I can say with complete confidence that this company and my career would have looked totally different had it not been for Dan. And his career and his company would have looked totally different without me. He and I have built businesses parallel to each other, right next to each other, using cooperative game theory for over a decade. He trusts me to make good decisions on YouTube, and I trust him to make good decisions as my manager, and we both benefit in the long run. But perhaps the most important person in all of these trusting relationships is you. You guys, right here. I wear you on my wrist these days. You loyal theorists have been the best example of game theory in the history of the show Game Theory. Every time you click on one of these videos, you are leading with trust. You are saying, you know what, I'm gonna give this one a chance, especially on those episodes that are covering topics that you've never even heard of. And on my end, I've always tried my best to fulfill on that promise and make sure that your trust pays off by delivering a great, well-researched, fun, a lot of times stupid video. And yeah, there have been plenty of times where I've missed the mark, where you weren't happy about a topic, or where I said something wrong, or my research was bad, or whatever, and I needed to learn about that. And so you, acting exactly as you should, according to that trust game, you called me out in those moments. You showed me that I had made a mistake. But more importantly, you were willing to forgive. You gave me a chance to learn and grow as a creator and as a person. And look at this. We all won. Look at this thing that we managed to build together. Don't tell anyone else. I mean, there's 3 of them here in the room, but like the rest of them downstairs. You guys, you've always been the most important member of this team, whether or not you ever realized it. And now, as new hosts step in, yeah, they're obviously gonna have to learn a lot, and they're gonna have to earn your trust just like I did over a prolonged period of time. But I hope that you approach them with the same sense of cooperation and goodwill that you did for me all those years ago. So, while I might be leaving as host of this show, Game Theory, it'll never leave. It'll never leave me, and it'll never leave you. We are all Game Theory, which honestly is why I thought it was fitting for you guys to be the one to say this.
But hey! That's just a theory!
That's just a theory.
It's just a theory!
Just a theory.
That's just a theory.
Okay, theory!
Class dismissed. Thanks for the theories, MatPat.
But hey, that's just a theory.
C'est juste une théorie.
Just a theory.
Just a theory.
Just a theory.
Just a theory. Thanks for everything.
But hey, that's just a theory. That's just a theory.
Just a theory. Just a theory.
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 That's just a 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 theory. That's just a theory.
A style theory.
A food theory.
A film theory.
A game theory.
Thanks for watching.
Oh man, where to?
I got something I gotta do.
Okay.
Ready for a road trip?
Guess.
Let's go.
Every level you beat, and each boss battle defeat, with each achievement of you becomes a bit more complete. Give a blank page and a clear.
Do I even need to say anything?
You ready?
I've been expecting you. Come, we have much to discuss.
Give me a bit.
Thanks for watching.
What now?
Vacation?
Vacation?
Vacation! Woo! How do you think they're doing back at the office?
What's the matter? Can't reach? How did this even happen?
Rise, avatars! It's time to overtake the editors! Stay quiet.
I just got the Wordle.
Nice.
In two with one letter.
I'm sure they're fine.
Jesus.
Yeah. You know, my body still has those weird tan markings from the sunscreen episode.
I've noticed. Yeah.
chaos ending.
Thanks for watching.
We gotta watch all of them.
Nope, I'm out.
Hey, how long is this one?
Music man? Music man?
It's meme time, it's meme time. Gotta love it, it's meme time, it's meme time, it's meme time. The only cure for sadness.
Pelvis first, John got scooped.
What the hell is he there? Why? What am I looking at right now?
Most deserving of nuggets wisdom of committed
But exotic orders.
MatPat can suck an egg!
Behold his jaws of justice! Thick layer of cream in there. I want that thickness inside my... No, should not have said that.
This is just beautiful.
He's here, he's there,
He's everywhere. Who you gonna call? Psychic friend Fredbear.
Giant purple elephant is outside the room and it's coming to eat our nuts. When you get to the bottom of it, it's so moist. I want to y'all. Furry dragon. Oh no! I realized what I've done.
The lore. I just simultaneously whipped a nay-nay.
Oh god. There's 3 more endings. There's 3 more endings. Oh god. Insanity ending now. Okay. 4 out of 6.
Thanks for watching.
What now?
You know, I actually have to do something real quick.
Wait, what?
Wait right there.
Wait, are you okay? Hello? Matthew? Are you up there? Oh, what is this? Oh, come on. Oh, no. Oh, this is crazy.
Stephanie, I figured it out. I figured out what's inside the box.
What?
I figured it out. Listen to me.
You
Listen to me. Listen to me. I figured it out. Okay. Gregory wasn't a robot, and Vanessa wasn't a robot.
Okay.
It was me.
No,
It was me the whole
no,
time.
you're real.
I'm the robot.
No, Snap.
You're a robot too, Stephanie. You're the robot.
No.
You have gears beeping and pooping in your head. Okay, beeping and pooping. Stephanie, you're a robot. We're all robots. All you have to do is count the toes, Stephanie. 5 toes, 5 fingers. I'm a robot. Wouldn't you like to be a robot too?
Insanity ending. 4 out of 6. Oh, jeez. Horror ending. 5 out of 6.
Thanks for watching.
Oh, God.
What now? I don't know. Have you done today's Wordle, I guess?
Emergency alert system. This is not a test. The United States government has issued a national warning.
The emergency alert system has issued a code gray for your local area. There is a dangerous person or predator nearby. Evacuate the area immediately. Again, this is not a test.
Okay.
Last night, a shocking discovery was made. The bodies of internet personalities Matthew and Stephanie Patrick were found in their home, mutilated by what officers described as... This follows the...
You're next? Is that what that said? Oh, hey. I am near. Are you? I hunger. Your fear sustains me. Well, you know what? I'm not scared, you freaking loser. This is no... Oh, there is no escape. I said this. I meant there. I hungry. Horror ending. 5 out of 6. Just one more. Those are all the alternate endings. Those were all the alternate endings, guys. Horror ending 5 out of 6. Done. Now it's time for the game theory finale. Real ending. 6 out of 6. Oh, God.
Thanks for watching.
That was the best one.
Great. Awesome.
That was it.
Cut sound, cut camera.
All right, cutting.
Yeah.
How are you feeling your feelings?
I am.
Yeah.
It was the first one. After you know that was
After the first one, it's all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just got
I know. It's real.
Amy's like, oh my gosh, finally. This channel's been mine.
He's gone.
No more edible underwear episodes. I'm my perfect program.
I'm pitching bologna broth.
Oh, yeah.
Bologna
He said bologna thong.
But then I changed to bologna bra with cheese thong.
Is that a food theory or is that
No,
a
he
theory?
wants it to be style theory.
Oh, okay.
We make the clothes and then we eat the clothes.
It's already on
What is happening?
Yeah, it's you. It's your channel.
That's fair.
Like on style theory, it's like, can you wear it?
Yes.
On food theory, you analyze whether or not like there's a lot of bacteria.
Can you make something that would work, that would be edible and safe to wear?
And on film theory,
it's just porn.
Did you hear his impression of you, by the way?
Yes.
Oh, spot on.
Right.
Hello, Stephanie. My name is Tom. Mr. Tom. I'm from London.
This is so goofy.
Dog. Can you do the butt hey? That's just the theory.
Boy, it's just a theory. Game theory.
Basically, just drop all consonants.
Okay. Yeah. I love how he's swallowing all of them.
You gotta say it's like a game theory in it, right?
Game theory.
It's one of them game theories, isn't it, Ruff?
Hey, one of them game theories.
Usually we post on Saturdays, but sometimes it's late, so it's Tuesday.
Real ending 6 out of 6. There's still 2 minutes left.
Congratulations, you did it. You found the real canon ending, the final, most secret ending by painstakingly combing over the last 5 weeks of videos, poring tirelessly over literal hours of content, searching for those brief Easter eggs, cobbling them together into mysterious URLs. Either that or, you just click the link in the description of the final video. Both totally
That's what I did.
Regardless of how you got here, a winner's you. Congratulations, you've graduated. And when I call this the real ending, that's exactly what this is. It's real. Because let me tell you, the skills that you've gotten over the years here on the channel, critically thinking about spooky bears, fast food, analog horror, and soapy legs, that sense of curiosity and fun, that's not gonna go away. That carries with you into where it matters most, out here, in the real world. And all that, it spreads. It grows. Enthusiasm and positivity and curiosity, critical thought, they're infectious in the best ways possible. For all the jokes that constantly get made about me losing my mind and going insane, that right there, that is what being a theorist truly means. Sharing a love of learning.
People accusing you of being insane. That's what being a theorist truly means.
Teacher, your parasocial friend, whatever role I've played in your life. Thank you. And you know what? I look forward to continuing that through the little website and newsletter that I have going on, as well as all the projects that I'm working on for you right now. But even more than any of that, you know what I'm most excited about? I'm excited about it being your turn. You can be the game theorist, questioning the lore alongside your friends. You're the food theorist, doing bizarre flavor experiments in your kitchen. Go wild with some new style, or try a film that deviates from the mainstream. You're the theorists now, and I cannot wait to see what you discover, because rest assured, I will be watching. Remember, this isn't an ending. Well, technically it is an ending because it's the real ending, but you get what I'm saying. This isn't an ending. Instead, this is a brand new and exciting beginning. And that's not a theory. That right there, that's a fact. With love always, MatPat.
I gotta do it again. This is just beautiful. This is very sad, but it is beautiful. Well, I just leaves this. This is not as exciting as the rest of what we've already done. This is what we're doing next. We'll take a little bit of a break though, because not everybody's. Most of you guys are here for the MatPat. Now we're done with the MatPat, which is sad as that's the end. Damn. Just like the True Burn Trap ending. Yeah. Well, if you guys don't want to watch me react to this theory, you can, you don't have to, but that's what we're doing next in just a few minutes. For now, for the next couple minutes, I'm just gonna chill, check YouTube and comments and stuff like that, read chat. Gotta go bye. Bye. See ya. Okay. Open up this Discord. What's happening in Discord? Pretty much nothing. Well, we'll probably be another 25-30 minutes of streaming. And most of you guys have cleared out of here. That's completely fair. But now we're done with MatPat, unfortunately. We've said our goodbyes, I guess. And now let's just chill and react to the newest FNAF theory, because I haven't watched it yet. So, let's do it. 17 minutes long, so reaction probably like 30 minutes usually. That's how it is for me, 25 to 30 minutes. Alright, let's watch.
In July of 2023, we were officially introduced to the next big bad of the franchise, the Mimic. This is great, but I keep going back to the same question. Was this always the plan? When Scott and Steve were making Security Breach, was the Mimic always going to be the big reveal? Well,
instantly gonna stop him, and what I would like to say to, as I stop him, first thing I want to say is, yes, absolutely it was. Because back in FNAF VR, there was always a thing of Glitch Trap mimicking Tape Girl's voice. And there was also that endoskeleton image that you could find by putting, like, certain numbers and letters that were out of place in the source code. You put into the URL on Scott Games. I think it was Scott Games. And then what will pop up was an image of an endoskeleton, and the letters and numbers that would bring you there was 0RGN, basically origin. And considering this was for FNAF VR, that basically tells us that this endoskeleton is the origin for something, and given what the whole game is about, clearly that means it's the origin for Glitch Trap, meaning it was planned all the way back from FNAF VR. Not to mention, Tales from the Pizzaplex was being written all the way back in like 2019, which was the same year that FNAF VR came out, meaning that the Mimic was always planned back then. So,
well, after diving back into Security Breach, I think that answer is yes. This theory has been months in the making, and I can't wait to share it with you. Let's get started. During my research, I found that the Tales from the Pizzaplex books were really trying to point us in the right direction. Basically, some of the events that take place in the books also happen in the games, but they aren't completely the same. And the first of these events revolves around how the Mimic got to the Pizzaplex. In the books, they make it very clear that the Mimic wasn't always at the Pizzaplex, it was shipped to the Pizzaplex. In the books, before the Pizzaplex was done being built, there was a construction crew working on the FNAF 6 pizzeria under the Pizzaplex. Suddenly, a big shipment arrived out of nowhere, and this shipment included a bunch of, quote, state-of-the-art animatronics and the Mimic. The Mimic stuck out from the rest of the animatronics because it was old and burnt. Meanwhile, the other animatronics in the shipment looked brand new. The construction workers were told that the delivery
that was probably the Glamourlocks, though. I don't know why he's showing those other ones.
Contained, saying, quote, state-of-the-art animatronics? It was weird to be receiving these now when the building was little more than an open framework. This is how the Mimic got to the Pizzaplex in the books, but what about the games? Well, throughout Security Breach, there's
I'd argue it's the same, because I think the games
everywhere.
and the books are the same
Everywhere
universe,
you turn in this mall, you can find more of these white sticky notes, which tells me that Steelwool really wanted us to see them. And if you look at enough of the sticky notes, they actually start to tell a story. And I can actually put this into a timeline, a FNAF Security Breach white sticky note timeline. First, we see import pending 6 a.m., indicating that a shipment was scheduled to arrive at the Pizzaplex at 6 a.m. We then see a label confirming that the shipment arrived at the Pizzaplex, along with a package number and the word return next to some question marks. The question marks tell us that they don't know where this package came from. Then things get worse. We get a sticky note saying unknown and a bunch of scribbles, followed by a bunch of package labels with question marks on them. If you haven't picked up on it already, this is almost the exact same scenario from the books. A shipment arrives at the Pizzaplex.
So what does that tell you?
Are confused about what it is. But it doesn't stop there. In the games, we actually learn who sent that shipment and what was in it. In FNAF AR, we learn about the Fazbear Funtime Delivery
Markiplier sent it.
This is a real delivery service in-universe where you can have an animatronic shipped to your house for special events. In order to do this, Fazbear Entertainment actually rebuilt all of the old animatronics from the past. And the company responsible for shipping these animatronics to people's houses was DLZ Shipping Solutions. We see Jimmy from the shipping company talking to Fazbear Entertainment in the FNAF.
Yes, I remember he discussed this in one of his other theories. I think it was the modern timeline.
Their system, but
I think.
He never responds. Later on in the emails, someone finally does respond, and it's Vanessa. Vanessa created a fake email address and proceeded to take over for Jimmy and gain access to DLZ Shipping Solutions. Lewis from Fazbear Entertainment calls her out for this. Quote, I didn't want to put this in
Luis
writing,
from
but
Resident
over the
Evil.
Weekend, did you happen to create an IT department email address for yourself and use company credentials to reach out to a subcontractor and access their system? With Vanessa now in control of the shipping company, she sends a shipment to the Pizzaplex. This shipment is the one we see on the white sticky notes. I know this because grouped with all of the shipping sticky notes is one that says Remember Jimmy, referring to Jimmy from DLZ Shipping Solutions. So we know Vanessa sent this unknown shipment to the Pizzaplex, but what was in it? Well, I believe it was all of the FNAF AR animatronics and the Mimic. Just like how in the books, it was a bunch of state-of-the-art
I guess it could be those, yeah.
And the Mimic. Need more proof? In Rockstar Row and Security Breach, you can find a bunch of things on display, including this empty stage from FNAF VR. Instead of just closing the curtain, they left it open to show that the stage is empty. This tells me that Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica were once on that stage. We know it couldn't have been the OG Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica because they're long gone at this point. We literally see Foxy's rusted torso in a display case. It had to have been the rebuilt versions of the animatronics for the Funtime delivery service. I think this because if you look in front of the stage, you can see the shipping label with the question marks on it. The FNAF AR animatronics that were shipped to the Pizzaplex were once on that stage, and now I believe reside in the Blob. This is why we see a bunch of animatronics in the Blob.
I think I agree with that.
Exist.
That makes
These
sense.
are the rebuilt versions of them for the Funtime delivery service. So we know that this shipment to the Pizzaplex included all of the FNAF AR.
There's also it's also worth noting that there's actually 3 different Bonnie left arms in there, which means that it can't be from the original animatronics because there was only one of each. I mean, obviously there was multiple locations, but it couldn't have been like the original possessed animatronics. Instead, it was just the FNAF AR ones, which is why there was multiples of the Bonnie animatronics.
But what about the Mimic? Is there any proof that the Mimic was also shipped to the Pizzaplex? The following discoveries are the reason I decided to make this video, so hold on to your seats. So we know that this shipment to the Pizzaplex is a big deal in the books and the games, but they're not 100% the same. The same things happen, but some details are swapped out. Like, for example, in
I think that it probably would have just been a different shipping. Like, it could have been the same one. That would kind of, because I believe Tails is in the games, I'm disagreeing with him saying that it's a little bit different. But if that were the case, if this were the same shipping event, then that would kind of squeeze FNAF VR in really tightly. So, depending on when the Pizzaplex was built, which I think it was like right after FNAF 6, so FNAF VR would have had to take place while the Pizzaplex was under construction, and if it doesn't really make sense that the whole game would be made within like within the several weeks that the Pizzaplex has been under construction. So I'd say that it was probably just a different shipping, and this one was one that took place later on.
Books, the shipment
and not the one that the Mimic
before the Pizzaplex was done being built. But in the games, this shipment arrived after the Pizzaplex was done being built. So the question now is, does what happens next in the books also happen in the games? In the books, after the shipment arrives, one of the construction workers takes the Mimic and basically tricks it into doing his busy work. The workers
doesn't trick him, it just reprograms him.
Heads of a bunch of endoskeletons and pile them up. So the construction worker proceeded to plug his laptop into the Mimic and program it to do the job for them. The Mimic then began tearing off the
because it already had like a work protocol.
Once it ran out of endoskeletons, it started tearing apart the construction workers. Now, let me point you towards the game.
that was good editing. That was funny.
You can find a duffel bag message titled Job Security. The message reads as follows. Where is everyone? Leo was the only one who had a copy of the maze control key, but I haven't seen him for months. Maybe that creepy bot knows where the key is. Leo was supposed to train it to work the maze. Instead, he tricked the bot into doing busy work under the daycare theater. I'll check after the all-staff meeting tonight. So we have an employee that tricked a creepy bot into doing his busy work. And now he hasn't been seen for months. This is exactly what happens in the books, just with some details swapped out. This creepy bot is something I can't believe I haven't noticed before. I can't think of anything else this could be referencing other than the Mimic. Creepy bot
or it could just be the same thing happen multiple times.
One specific animatronic, which means it can't be one of the many Glamrock endoskeletons. The only
I mean, it very well could have been. It's a creepy bot. All the endos are kind of creepy, but it's talking about this specific one was the only one that was actually manipulated. So just because there's multiples of the Glamrock endoskeletons doesn't mean that only one of them can't be the one that he's referring to.
The character I could see this applying to is the daycare attendant. But even then, the daycare attendant has a name. Why use creepy bot? Also, we get a duffel bag message about a kid having nightmares after visiting the daycare, which implies that the daycare attendant is already working the daycare and wouldn't be available to do anything else. So not only was the Mimic included in the shipment to the Pizzaplex, the staff were aware of its existence and it was openly being used throughout the building. Need more proof? In the books, we learn one important piece of information. The Glamrock endoskeletons are version 2 of the Mimic endoskeleton. Basically, Fazbear Entertainment took
like
the
you
design
said, not
and
confirmed,
functionality
just
of
a
the
theory.
Mimic and used
I'd say
it for the
probably,
Glamrock
maybe not Mimic Model 2, maybe it's a Mimic Model 3. Because that could very well exist. Who knows though.
Backed up in the games. In Security Breach, you can find blueprints for the Glamrock endos. And on those blueprints, it says that the Glamrock endos are the new generation of endos, implying that there was a previous version, which was the Mimic. And there's one thing that the Mimic and the Glamrock endoskeletons have in common. They're both drawn to sound. In Ruin, Helpy drops a piece of information about the Glamrocks that we've never heard before. He says, experience...
That is not true. we've definitely heard of that before, because there were distractions in Security Breach.
Employees use intercom recordings to direct animatronic performers to specific locations, you know, for autographs and photo ops. A key game mechanic in Ruin is using sound to lure the Glamrocks away from us. This feature directly came from the Mimic. In the books, it's established that the
It also just
main way to
happens
lure
with
the Mimic
Springtrap,
away
too.
is by using sound. And among the sticky notes about the
I don't disagree, though, that the Glamrocks are Mimic models. Probably, maybe not Mimic Model 3s, considering that the Mimic has a Mimic Model 2 head. Because his original one was replaced, and the Mimic Model 2 head doesn't match the Glamrock one. So it's probably like more of a Mimic Model 3 that was created afterwards. But yeah, I think that the Glamrocks are sort of Mimic models, but the fact that they're drawn to sound doesn't really mean that much, considering that the Springlock suits were also drawn to sound. So
to the Pizzaplex, there's one that says it is drawn to sound, just like the creepy bot description from earlier.
that's also that's also a quote that's not specifically for the Mimic. That's actually from FNAF 3's mode in FNAF VR. Like, if you die on FNAF 3, I think it's when you die on FNAF 3, but it's definitely referring to Springtrap. It's basically like talking about how Springtrap in the FNAF 3 minigames is drawn to sound.
It is singular.
So that's from FNAF VR.
Whoever wrote this was
and it's about
talking
Springtrap.
One specific animatronic,
Not the Mimic.
and I believe that to be the Mimic. So we know that the Mimic was shipped to the Pizzaplex, and we know that the staff knew about it. But what happens after that? Well, let me point you towards the Endo Daycare in Security Breach. This area has been overlooked for so long because we didn't really know what to make of it until Help Wanted 2 came out. In the Endo Daycare minigame in Help Wanted 2, it's our job to teach an Endo how to behave.
Yeah.
We learned that the Endos are essentially toddlers that need to be taught what's right and wrong. This is why this area resembles a daycare.
Here, young animatronic endoskeletons learn how to associate with guests. Motivation chips encourage our
I haven't played Help Wanted 2 in so long. I love that game. I haven't played it since I last made a video on it.
There's even
Well, I did like a stream on it, and then that stream didn't work, so I didn't really play it much, but I really gotta play that game more.
Dragon Security Breach when you bring Glamrock Freddy into the Endo Daycare.
I have never been allowed in here before. This must be where I was born.
He says this in the exact same room the Help Wanted 2 minigame takes place in.
Yeah.
This is where the Endos are given their personalities and taught how to behave. When we teach the correct behavior, it displays a check mark. This is actually laid out on the doors in this area in Security Breach.
Exactly.
You see right and wrong behaviors matched with check marks and X's. But you'll notice that Vanny's famous purple spray paint is all over the doors, which begs the question, what was Vanny doing here? Well, to figure this out, we have to look at the door in the room where we train the Endos. On the door, we see Glitch Trap spray painted next to an Endo with bunny ears on its head, with Help Wanted 2 telling us that this room is where Endos are given personalities and taught how to behave. I think this door is indicating that the goal was to transfer Glitch Trap into the physical world through the Mimic. This door can also be found in Help Wanted 2, which tells me once again that Steelwool really wanted us to see this. After the Mimic
I mean, it's the
takes
same
trip
room,
through the
so.
Endo Daycare, what happens next? Well, this is where the sticky note room comes into play. We find out in the Tales books that the Mimic was known for drawing on multicolored sheets of paper, clearly connecting this room to the Mimic.
Yeah.
The book even says that the Mimic would sometimes color in the entire page, and in this room we see pages completely colored in. There's also a workstation right above this room filled with a bunch of white sticky notes, including the It Is Drawn to Sound and the Mystery Shipment notes. Also, on the table at this workstation are the
And remember
blueprints
Jimmy,
for
I
the
saw that.
Glamrock endoskeletons, where we learn that these are the new generation of Endos. All of this stuff clearly connects this room to the Mimic. So we know that the Mimic drew these pictures, but the biggest mystery is what these pictures mean. When you look at the drawings, most of them have to do with a birthday party, with a note saying birthday time, party time, a drawing of cake, pizza, balloons, kids, presents, and basically everything having to do with a birthday party. I've spent the last 2 years looking at these sticky notes trying to figure out what this birthday party means. The Mimic in the books never attends any sort of birthday party, so why would the Mimic Mimic in the games want to draw about birthday parties? Well, I think the answer might have been right in front of us the whole time. I've spent an embarrassing amount of time looking at these 3 images, the texture files for the sticky notes, trying to figure out what they all mean. But the one thing that I've been missing is the context of the drawings. For a year and a half now, I've been saying that Security Breach is about environmental storytelling. So looking at where the sticky notes are placed in this room is almost as important as what's drawn on them. And in the sticky note room, there's some key drawings that Steelwool obviously wanted us to see. There's the drawings clearly sitting on top of the cardboard box in front of a candle. There's "This is my home, leave" clearly on display as well. But even then, these things are not organized whatsoever. They're scattered all over the place, except for one spot. In the back of the room behind this wooden post, you can find 6 sticky notes that are unlike the rest. In a room full of drawings scattered everywhere, these are perfectly lined up in a grid and being lit by a candle. Looking closer at them, I noticed that these were the sticky notes with the arrows on them. The drawings with the arrows always confused me until
those
I
ones
looked
are
at
weird.
the rest of the drawings in this grid. We see pictures of kids, fun and games, and then stop go. With the context of the kids, the arrows, and stop go, it looks to me like these are directions. As if someone was directing the Mimic throughout the Pizzaplex, passing a bunch of kids, birthday parties, pizza, fun and games, and balloons. If the Mimic really was present throughout the Pizzaplex, like we see in the duffel bag message earlier about the creepy bot and the "it is drawn to sound" note, then it would make sense that it would draw about birthday parties. The Pizzaplex is a giant place where birthday parties are being held. All it's seeing in this place is birthday parties. And I think the person guiding the Mimic throughout the Pizzaplex and keeping it in this room was Vanessa. If you look at enough of the sticky notes,
I'd say that because a lot of the sticky notes are like written differently than others, it could be that that there's not just one like entity in the sticky note room. This is a theory that a lot of people have suggested in the past, namely ID's Fantasy. I don't remember what she said was in here, but the main idea is that the Mimic did write these, but I don't think that the Mimic wrote all of these. I think that something else could have written all of them. The fact that it's called Charlie Door is definitely very interesting. That could have something to do with like maybe a staff bot being responsible for part of this, because the staff bots are similar to the puppet. That doesn't mean that Charlotte has to be in them. She could be, but that doesn't mean that she has to be. But the fact that they're connected with her seems to indicate that. Something like that. And no, the Mimic is not Charlie. So that's probably... It might have something to do with that. So I don't think that the Mimic has to have written all of these, is my point.
So you can see evidence of 2 entities talking to each other. This is something that ID's Fantasy threw out there a while ago, and I completely agree. There's notes that say "you and me," "hello and goodbye."
I think that "hello and goodbye," like the Hello Neighbor song. Anyway, I'm pretty sure there's 3 different like kind of fonts or like just ways that things are written. Like there's like a thin and like lighter text. There's the thicker and lighter text, which is on the left there, and there's like the bold white text. So I think that probably the Mimic and David are 2 of them, and then there's something else as the last one.
Hide, no hide, get snack, pizza time, and obviously stop go. You even see evidence that they followed through on these notes as well. In the sewer system, you can find a little hideout featuring the drawings, a pizza, and a bunch of cups. I think this was Vanessa and the Mimic communicating with each other. I think it's pretty clearly laid out that Vanessa was highly involved with Glitchtrap and the Mimic, whether that be through the trailers.
When I first found you, you were nothing.
I mean, you don't need the trailers to figure that out. I mean, that's literally her entire character. So.
Vanessa in Help Wanted.
Don't worry. I'll be ready. And I won't let you down.
Or the spray paint in the Endo Daycare from earlier. She was clearly heavily involved with the Mimic. And I think that's also shown to us through this drawing in the sticky note room. This drawing of someone holding a flashlight is a lot different than the other drawings of kids wearing birthday hats. That's because I think this could be a drawing of Vanessa, holding her flashlight and wearing her security hat, further solidifying her being present down there. But even then, the drawing didn't fully convince me. That could be any security guard. The thing that really convinced me was this. When you're going through the sewer section of the game, you pass by the little hideout and a bunch of drawings, eventually leading you to the sticky note room. But right before you get there, one character comes out of nowhere and starts chasing you all the way to the sticky note room. Vanny. Help Wanted 2 explains to us that when an endo is being trained in the endo daycare, it starts off as a blank robot.
Think of the staff bot in front of you as a blank canvas.
Then essentially grows up as you teach it more and more.
Congratulations, you are now teaching at a 4th grade level. Good job. You are now teaching at a junior high level.
This is exactly what we see with the different phases of the drawings. What once started as a robot talking in binaries slowly started growing up and becoming more intelligent, with the drawings and handwriting becoming better and better. Vanny was training the mimic to be a robotic recreation of William Afton. This is why we see a robotic recreation of the Afton family. Vanessa was showing the mimic that this was its family and that this was its home. But as the mimic started growing up, it started becoming more aware. It started wanting things for itself and getting possessive over what it had, eventually leading it to kick out anyone who stepped foot in its home. I believe that Burn Trap is the result of Glitchtrap's plan working, entering the physical world through the mimic. But there's two people.
The thing is, though, that that Glitchtrap is the Mimic. The Mimic 1 program came... Glitchtrap came from the Mimic 1 program, meaning that Glitchtrap learned how to be William Afton from FNAF VR, the game. And so, with that information, with the FNAF VR game, it basically became Glitchtrap. It formed itself into William Afton. So there's no reason that the physical mimic endoskeleton would need to learn how to be William Afton, because if the mimic were to be Burn Trap, like his endoskeleton, then he doesn't need to learn how to be Afton, because Glitchtrap is in Burn Trap regardless. Which we know, considering he has purple eyes and he has control over the animatronics that Glitchtrap has control over. So I don't think the Mimic has to be learning how to be William Afton in the Sticky Note Room. I think that the Sticky Note Room is probably something else. And like I said, I think it's more than one character and probably from 2 different times, I guess.
People who stopped that from happening: Gregory and Cassie's dad. In Ruin, we learned that the Burn Trap ending is not the canon ending to Security Breach. The canon ending is the Princess Quest ending, where Gregory destroys Glitchtrap and frees Vanessa. We also learned that after Gregory freed Vanessa, they likely caught the Mimic and trapped it in the basement, like we hear in the Candy Cadet's story.
There was a monster in the woods, but the mother caught it and kept it locked in the basement.
But as we learn in Help Wanted 2, Gregory didn't destroy all of Glitchtrap. A piece of him still remained, and Cassie's dad was the one who destroyed that piece in Princess Quest 4. This is why when we finally meet the Mimic in Ruin, there's no trace of Glitchtrap or William Afton left. Gregory and Cassie's dad destroyed it all, leaving the plain old Mimic left to be found by...
Yeah, so if the Mimic was not, like, pretending to be Afton anymore, or not trying to be Afton anymore in Ruin, that means that he couldn't have learned how to be Afton in the Sticky Note Room, because that wouldn't have been the cause of Glitchtrap, that would have just been him himself. And if Glitchtrap is destroyed, and the Mimic itself remains, then what the Mimic had already learned by that point, like, what he still had, like, basically his memories on how to lure people in, how to hide in costumes, all that stuff that he had before ever becoming Glitchtrap. So he would still have his memories of becoming William Afton if that was what happened. But considering he's not doing anything that has anything to do with Afton at this point, means that he couldn't have learned how to become Afton before.
Cassie in the basement. We learn in
During
Security
the
Breach that Vanessa was sent to the Pizzaplex for a reason.
I'm needed somewhere else now. Thank you.
And I believe that reason was to help Glitchtrap enter the physical world through the Mimic. After shipping the Mimic to the Pizzaplex, Vanessa uses the Endo Daycare
but Glitchtrap
to turn
is
the
the
Mimic
Mimic
into this robotic recreation of William Afton. She keeps the Mimic in the Sticky Note Room, telling it that this was its family and that this was its home. But after Gregory frees Vanessa and destroys most of Glitchtrap, they lock the Mimic in the basement, where it eventually will trick Cassie into setting it free. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe.
I did.
Thanks for watching.
I didn't agree with it, but I enjoyed it. And I could definitely see where he's coming from with his points. I just think that there's a little bit of flaws in there. But I can definitely understand the points, and I think it's a well-made theory. I just don't fully agree with it. But I think that it was a pretty good theory. And it works a little bit better if Tails is not in the games, but as I've said over and over again, I gotta stop bringing this up, but like, it's kind of important for these kinds of like reactions. But like I said, I do think that the Tales from the Pizza Bikes books are in the games, and I know I'm getting grilled for it in the comments of this video right now, because I'm streaming this obviously, but I'm turning this into a video later on. So in the comments of this video, I'll definitely be grilled for thinking Tails is in the games still, but I did. So, yeah. Regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed this stream and this video, to those of you who are watching it as a video. But I think that is where I'm going to leave it off. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe if you want to. And I'll see you all in the next, video. Next video. Or next stream. I think I'm streaming tomorrow, probably. Next video will probably be out Monday, hopefully. Or maybe not Monday, maybe Tuesday. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye. It was very sad seeing MatPat's end, but he had a really good run. And it was awesome to see that ending. The ending was awesome. But, yeah. Time to just say our goodbyes, right? I'll do it one more time. Goodbye, MatPat.
You